From the Tennessee Valley Weather Center, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Ben Luna here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center, joined by Fred Gossage, Bryan Wilson, and Kelli Rosson as we track a line of storms rolling into our viewing area. Damage is already starting to pop up from strong winds back just to our west. That's why we're hopping on now to give you extra notice that things are starting to get to be in the yuck phase as far as our weather is concerned for today. Notice behind me we have a tornado watch for every county and then some that watches the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel. This watch is effective for all of these counties until 1 o'clock today, though I do believe that we'll see this trend back, of course, as the line of storms crosses over the mid-state and North Alabama and Northeast Mississippi. So let's kind of take a two-front approach to this real quick. Let's go to Live Viper radar, and this is why the tornado watch has been issued. We have a line of storms that is gradually working its way from the west to the east, and you can easily look at the radar image and see, here's from the Columbus, Mississippi radar, that the line has really intensified over the past several hours as it has continued an eastward march into the region. We do have reports of scattered wind damage from Tupelo north throughout northeast Mississippi. The line itself, as it continues to move into our core viewing area, will continue to strengthen somewhat, and from there, that's where we do have the possibility for isolated tornadoes across our entire viewing area today, in addition to, of course, some pretty rocky thunderstorms, locally heavy rainfall as well. Now, as this line continues an eastward march, behind this line is something that we really, unfortunately, can't track. That is high wind. And well, just to show you how high the winds are, we've had wind gust reports already of 50+ mile per hour readings across portions of North Alabama. We've had trees down in Colbert County. We've had trees down in Murray County, Tennessee so far. In fact, we just tweeted a picture from Murray County 911 of tree damage near utility lines in Mount Pleasant. So it's coming, and it's here. In fact, the National Weather Service in Huntsville has just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for an entire block of northwest Alabama counties.
Yeah, that goes until 10:30.
Okay, this goes until 10:30. This includes Franklin County, western Lawrence County, Alabama, Colbert County, and a little over 3/4 of Lauderdale County.
We got a tornado warning coming for Tishomingo.
Okay, we do have a new tornado warning now coming for Tishomingo County, Mississippi. We have, and if you want to zoom in.
Make the executive decision here. I think that's probably going to be this feature here, because it's also for Itawamba and Prentiss County, so that's probably that feature there. So we'll see here in a few moments.
Yep, that's it. That's a good call, Brian.
There. Yep.
All right, so we are now in tornado coverage mode, so here we go.
That's the one.
This is how we fly. So all right, let's go back to Live Viper radar. Right here is the area of concern. It's not super tightly wound, and the structure of the storms across the region today will typically be these quick spinning tornadoes, what we typically see in lines, and they drop down, they do damage. Typically, they're not on the ground just an uber long time, but nevertheless, that's what we're looking for as this line of storms works into the area. So we do have a new tornado warning in effect for northeast Mississippi counties. This is just northwest of Fulton, Mississippi, south of Ozark, crossing Highway 371 as we speak. This guy is going to be moving to the northwest. Do we have a speed on this system?
Yeah, that's moving northeast at 50.
Moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour, and you can really see incredible detail right here in this cell. And we're not seeing gate-to-gate shear, but still, that's a pretty good little couplet right here just to the east, southeast of Highway 371, to the northeast of
Manatee, Mississippi.
I want to make them mad there. Yeah.
I was about to call it Manatee, but I wasn't 100% sure. But nevertheless, just in the northeast of Manatee, Mississippi, and this particular tornadic cell is going to be clipping the southernmost portion of Tishomingo County over the course of the next few minutes. Belmont, Golden, and then if this continues to hold together, downrange folks in Red Bay, and then back out toward Bell Green, and then on into the rest of northern Franklin County and southern Colbert County. Take note of this, okay? Take note. This is what's going to come down the range here in just a few minutes. This is why we like to be on the air early, tracking these particular storms as they start to enter into our coverage area, because we can. We're a weather channel. That's what we do.
And I want to mention, too, that in that northwestern Alabama sector, that severe warning does have a tornado possible tag. So you should treat that as if it has the possibility to do this now, which is issue a tornado warning on that. So that extends all the way there for the next hour or so with those warnings already issued in northwestern Alabama. So those should be treated pretty much just as seriously, at least, if you ask me. So
I mean, it is just now 9:29, and we actually knew Huntsville was going to issue kind of a blanket warning for this, just to let people know, because the line of storms, this is a whole region spanning line, okay? This thing is going to run from Kentucky all the way down through Mississippi as it continues a march, and of course right through Middle Tennessee and Northwest Alabama in doing so. So everybody that's watching us right now, you are going to see something today. And then before we got into the tornado coverage here, what's coming behind the line is what actually is of great concern to us, because behind this line of storms, yes, we're continuing with the potential, of course, for severe thunderstorms and quick spin tornadoes such as this, but we have high winds that will continue to work across the area through the midday and afternoon hours. Wind gusts could be anywhere from 40 to up to 70 miles per hour in some cases before all this stuff winds down later on this evening.
And I would even go far as to say ahead of that too, because these lines here in Tupelo and Lee County, we actually had reports well before that line actually made it there, 15, 20, even 30 minutes before the line made it there. So even before, I would go so far as to say that ahead of this, we need to be watching for those gusts as well.
Well, absolutely. The gusts that have brought down the trees. And by the way, Murray 911 said the trees that came down off 43 in Mount Pleasant, they were older locust trees. And that goes to show you, that's a perfect example of the winds today from both this line of storms and the potential Doppler indicated tornado here. Those older trees are going to go first, and then we have a saturated ground. Now we're going to pick up obviously some more rain from this whole line as it comes across the viewing area today. That's not going to help anything. That's going to continue to weaken the bases of trees, the root bases, the bases as well for utility poles. The other day, we had a lot of utility poles to come down because of a very similar incident. So, I do want to continue to watch this. Looks like we have...
Looks like it's tightening just a little bit.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of tightening up just to the south of Sandy Springs, Mississippi. This is to the northwest of downtown Fairview. This is Mississippi Highway 25. And, Brian, take the slider and kind of slide back a little bit, and then let's get a good motion of travel, and then storm track this guy, if you would, please, sir.
Oh, you want me to do a point track from that?
Yes, sir.
Track? All right, we'll do it from here. Whoops, let's redo that there. All right, we'll do it from this point of interest first. We'll call it 50 there.
Yep, that's a good number.
That's coming out there. All right.
All right, so if you're watching us in any of these communities, here's what you've got to watch out for. These quick spinning tornadoes in the line. We have the first of the day with a tornado warning in effect now for southern Tishomingo County, and a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for almost all of the North Alabama counties that we cover. That warning touches Sandy Springs at 9:35, Moores Mill at 9:40, Golden at 9:47, the same for folks in Belmont. If this holds together, and again, these are spin, drop, and go kind of twisters today. Belmont at 9:40, or I'm sorry, Red Bay at 9:49, Dennis at 9:45 or 9:49, Bloody Springs at 9:55, Pogo at 9:55, Burnout coming up at 9:57, Mingo for the same, and Pleasant Site, Burnstown at 9:59, 10:01 for the White Oak Community in Bishop, and then Minot coming up at 10:03 this morning. Again, this is a quick spinning Doppler indicated tornado. We have no indication of this being on the ground yet, but let's take a look at correlation coefficient. Not seeing anything
yet.
No, not really, but right here.
Oh, moved just northeast.
Oh, yeah, it has moved.
Still very small there.
Yeah.
It's definitely subtle.
It is very subtle. It's not...
And indeed, I think it might even be wise not to be so specific with this, because it looks like it's kind of taking on that sort of shear line look there, where it could really be any point along this line here with that line. So
yes.
I think it might even be true to you, so to say, to not get so specific and just anywhere within that polygon to...
Well, and two, the fact that, to reiterate what Bryan is saying with this whole structure, is that you've got to watch out for, in this line, in the way weather radar works, you get a scan 2 to 5 minutes until you get into a live radar range. And so within that quick window of radar scanning, you could see something form up, drop, and then pick back up, and we never know it. And that's the reality of how, you know, technology is today. So anywhere within the tornado polygon, be attentive and be in your safe place now. This is not a go out on the front porch and track it and watch it, you know, and TikTok it. This is a take you and your family, because many school systems are out today into the lowest level of your home, away from windows and doors, keeping them away from anything that might produce glass, anything that might produce rocks through the window, or any kind of debris like that. And even to the point, okay, exercise for our northwest Alabama counties, when this line comes across, tornado warning or not, exercise the same level of concern that you would for a tornado warning as this line comes, for two reasons. Number one, there could be quick spinning tornadoes in the line that radar doesn't detect, okay? The second reason that you want to be attentive to this and treat that severe thunderstorm warning as a tornado warning for northwest Alabama is because you have some very powerful wind in this line of storms, okay? You could have wind gusts in the line to exceed 60 miles per hour. Bryan's got the radio velocity on. If you want to kind of take a peek.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let's query some of this.
Yes.
Because this is the raw output here. That's, you know, and this is pretty low over the radar, too. This is looking at, let me check the tilt here. So we're at the lowest tilt, 1,900 feet, and that's probably translating down pretty easily here with that storm there. So even if there's not a tornado there, which you definitely should treat it as if there is, you're still probably getting winds within that translating down 70, 80, maybe even 90 miles an hour.
Holy smokes, that is incredible. Modeling had winds jumping up to the 70s at one point that I saw, but yeah, there at the surface, within this embedded line, there you saw that number, plain as day, 87 miles per hour, and something very close to that translates to the surface, okay? So that's why you want to take this very carefully, because in the line, tornado or not, you do have that gust of hurricane force wind, literally, that comes across the area. That's going to do, you know, similar damage to tornadic weather, but on a much broader scale. Tornadoes are more isolated in their damage, but this is going to be a widespread event, all right? So for northwest Alabama, where we have this blanket severe warning in effect, go ahead and start treating that as this line moves your way as tornado warnings. I am sure that we could see more tornado warnings issued for these quick spinning little drop and go kind of twisters today.
Yeah, all right? And with this look here at the velocity, definitely is no surprise that they did do that blanket tornado possible term there, because you see a few shear zones there. We're looking at that one there that's warned. We see this one in Tishomingo County in the south side, and there's one on the north side, north of Iuka, just north of the highway there. So there's several spots to keep an eye on there that I'm watching here behind the scenes, and there's not been any talk of it just yet in the Weather Service chat, but just know that I'm keeping an eye on those too.
Let's go to the Iuka cam real quick.
Sure.
And kind of check out how things are looking there as this line is actually about to cross into Iuka.
Oh, it looks... Well, which direction are we looking at? We're looking east?
You're east. You are looking due east.
Wow, so that's east. Imagine turning around. Yeah.
So, actually, I'm looking to make sure that we have... No, that is not moving, because...
Is it not?
Wow, look at your flag.
You're right. Yeah, and then that wind would definitely be whipping that around, so you're right.
So, that camera, actually... I have this handy-dandy remote control on my phone that I can log into that camera and hopefully either reboot it and see what's going on there, or...
If you want to go ahead and reboot it, you can step off. I'll get on the wall here.
Okay. And actually, we have lost the feed to that camera.
Well,
so Miss Kelly, you want to take it? It's all yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've lost the feed to the Iuka camera. We have winds gusting up to 50 miles an hour, already getting reports of that, and reports of damage even before this line of thunderstorms is hitting. So that's why the National Weather Service in Huntsville has issued this severe thunderstorm warning well in advance. And now, of course, that line is getting closer to the state line. But let's go ahead and focus on the tornado warning just one more time. Brian, if you can go ahead and go to the base velocity and zoom in so I can read off a couple community names. So we've got that. This is the main part of the circulation that we are looking for. Now, again, with this line of storms that's moving through, we're not looking for some absolutely distinct gate-to-gate winds. We're not looking for bright greens and bright reds. All we're looking for is that notching signature and the different colors. So that's what we've got right here. And here's that next scan, and it's looking about the same, if not a little bit more defined, with those deeper or brighter greens right there. And so this is now coming up to the Belmont and Golden communities. So if you are in the Belmont or Golden communities, you need to be in your shelter, in your safe place right now. And again, if you are new to this area, or if you just need a reminder, the lowest, most interior room in your home, put as many walls between the outside that you possibly can. Underground is great. If you just, again, the lowest interior bathroom or a closet is a pretty safe bet as well, even if you are not underground. The storm, again, moving between about 55 miles an hour, between 55 or 60 miles an hour. So again, it's going to be here and gone in just a blink of an eye is what it's going to seem like. So you need to be in your shelter now if you are in this tornado warning in southern Tishomingo County. And if you are in northwestern Franklin County or southeastern Colbert County, you need to be paying very close attention because this circulation is heading your way. Let's do, if we can do another track.
You want me to do a fan track, or do you want me to do a...
You can go ahead and do a fan track.
Yeah, I think that's... Because the individual cellular aspects of this line are moving kind of northeast, but this general quantitative line as a whole is moving broadly east. We'll call it here at about there at 50.
Sure.
So there are some cities there.
Okay, so here are a couple of cities and arrival times. Bloody Springs, 9:44 a.m. Red Bay, Alabama, 9:45 a.m. as well as Burnstown, Bishop, 9:46, Valone, 9:46 as well as Pogo, Allsboro, and let's see, we've got Waterloo at 9:50, Cherokee at 9:55, Newsom Springs, 10 a.m., Belgreen, 10:04, Central Heights, 10:08, Russellville, Alabama, 10:13, Tuscumbia, Sheffield, that area, 10:14 and 10:15. Throw in Muscle Shoals and Florence and with that time frame as well. Colbert Heights looking at 10:15 a.m., Littleville at 10:16, and then Florence and Muscle Shoals, like I mentioned, 10:16 set 10:17. So just be very aware. Now that's for the Florence, Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, Sheffield area. You guys got about a half-hour warning time. The winds are already gusting, and we're expecting a little bit stronger winds as this line moves through, again up to 70, 80 miles an hour, like Ben was saying. That's hurricane force gusts possible with this line of severe thunderstorms. Again, we've already gotten several reports of trees down, some spotty power outages right now, and we've got reports of an 18-wheeler turned over as well back into Mississippi. So any more reports coming in right now for any damage or any wind damage or anything, or any radar confirmation of the tornado?
I'm taking a look at Weather Service chat now, and Alcorn County, Mississippi reports of a funnel cloud. So that's kind of what I was saying earlier about the whole line being sort of conducive to that sort of behavior there. But right now I'm not seeing anything about damage at the moment. So we'll be keeping an eye on that over the next few minutes. Wouldn't surprise me to see that starting to roll in here soon, because that line, it's already almost out of northeastern Mississippi. Give it another 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes at most. But that thing's already almost out of here and is about to be in northwestern Alabama pretty soon. Right,
and if not already, at least starting to rain, and those winds, at least ahead of the storm, already getting into northwest Alabama. So starting to get pretty gusty, I imagine, into parts of Cherokee, Red Bay. You're looking at some pretty heavy rainfall about to start, if not already. And we're seeing lightning continue to pop up. That is indicative of these storms continuing to strengthen as they're moving into a ripe environment for the storms to strengthen and also start to rotate. So that's why Brian was mentioning, while we do have this polygon for the tornado warning, we have to keep a very close eye on this entire line, because all it takes is just the right mixture of the environment that this line is moving into for a tornado to spin up, and they're going to spin up pretty quickly if they do develop within this line. And that's why there is that tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning for you folks in Lauderdale County, in Colbert County, as well as Franklin County in Alabama. The storm now just starting to cross over the state line. If we can go ahead and go to the base velocity to see where that center of rotation is right now.
Looks like it's coming a little bit more broad here now. This is that initial one we were looking at. It's still, I would still say that's a cause for concern there, but it looks like it's kind of broadening out now, kind of falling back into the shear line as a whole. So
yes,
it looks like that's probably crossed 25 now, I would say, because this is about a couple minutes behind. So.
Yes, and that's something I think we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the morning is these centers of rotation kind of phasing in and out as the storm continues to progress through. That's just the nature of these lines of storms, and that is the tornadic activity or the potential for rotation that we're talking about. We're not talking about long track supercells, we're talking about embedded tornadoes with this line of strong and severe thunderstorms continuing to move through. It looks like the center of rotation is now over the Belmont near the Golden community in southern Tisch County. So that will continue to move to the northeast at about between 50 and 60 miles an hour. And again, with that radar scan, it's still continuing to just move very quickly. Now the center of rotation with this storm north of you folks in Red Bay, but it looks like we're going to start to see some pretty strong and gusty winds right about right now.
Yeah, it looks like that might be something of a bowing structure.
Yeah, a little bit of a bowing structure heading into Red Bay, so that could be the means for some damaging wind heading into Red Bay and parts of Franklin County. Can we get some readings on some of those velocities?
I'm taking a look at the base velocity here. This would be more indicative of the winds as a whole there. And you can see out ahead of this, again, at looking here, 1,500 feet, you get 76 miles an hour there south of Bloody Springs near the state line. On Highway 247, they're 90 miles an hour. That's at 1,500 feet. That could easily be translated down to the ground there, especially in this Boeing segment here as that's coming out ahead of it. See there. So that wouldn't shock me at all to see some of that verifying on the ground there. And indeed, looking at the warning polygon for this severe, let me scroll back up in the chat real quick. I think that was for winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. So it definitely wasn't just a cookie cutter warning there as a whole. This is definitely cause for concern there as well ahead of it.
Right, so you folks, let's go ahead and read out a couple more town and community names into Pleasant Site in Franklin County. You guys are starting to experience some heavy rainfall, some very gusty winds as well. Let's go ahead. Rock Creek, Pleasant Grove, expect this. This is moving very quickly, probably within the next 2 to 5 minutes. And Newsom Springs, New Bethel, Crooked Oak, Frankfort, Flatwoods as well, Colbert Heights. You guys are talking about within the next 10 minutes, this storm moving very quickly, and you're probably already seeing some pretty strong wind gusts not related to this thunderstorm as well. Like we've been saying for the last few days as well as all morning, we are very concerned with not only these severe thunderstorms, but also with the wind and wind gusts not even associated with the exact line of thunderstorms, gusting up to 60 miles an hour, not even convective related or not thunderstorm related. So we are continuing to monitor for any sort of damage reports, anything new from the NWS chat or any reports that we've been getting.
Tornado warning has been canceled for Tishomingo, so with that being the case, let's do a large reset, talk about everybody in southern Middle Tennessee, northwest Alabama, so you know, we give an overall sense of where we are with things.
Yeah, let's get a big picture here. I'll go ahead and switch to radar network for you there.
Perfect.
A few storms moving into southern Middle Tennessee here, especially just outside to our west there at the tri-state corridor. Not as much lightning up there, in fact, none at all at the moment. So those have yet to maybe break through the cap. It might still be eroding there at the moment. The main thunderstorm activity looks to stay over Tishomingo County in northwest Alabama at the moment. We're not forgetting you there in southern Middle Tennessee. Some minor storms are starting to move in here across the area, but I think right now we're okay. We'll keep you advised here over the next 15 to 30 minutes, but right now it looks like this big complex in northeast Mississippi and northwest Alabama is the biggest cause for concern at the moment. So that's the big picture view at the moment. Ben, you got something?
Take the Lawrenceburg camera real quick, because I ran out front here at the studio to see how things were looking.
Yeah, we're rocking a little bit there.
Yeah, you are.
South-southeast at 15, so we're definitely sustained pretty solidly there. 68 degrees over 64, so fairly conducive for the possibility of severe weather here over the next hour or so.
You might switch over and take a look at Waynesboro real quick, too.
Yeah, let's do that, because that's a little bit closer to those storms there moving into the west. Wow, look at that. You can see those clouds just screaming. So that wind just off the ground like we were seeing on that radar there in Columbus really is just screaming. That's probably in excess of 100 miles an hour there.
And that camera is exactly 100 feet up, too.
Wow,
and knowing the structures that we mounted these things on, like that is a very rock solid tower in Wayne County.
I've seen it myself, yeah. So to see this rocking there, that's probably already getting gusts up to 40, maybe even in excess of that at the moment, and that's ahead of these storms.
Yes.
So.
And so everything behind this is going to be uber impressive too as it comes across.
That's the scientific term for it.
Yeah, we have those scientific terms here.
All right, let's take a look at the big picture here. So that was looking just to the west here. That was from the 911 center, correct? That's where that camera is. So that's looking to the west.
About where the way. That is about where the Y and the N is.
Right around here, looking down 64. Okay, so that's just ahead of these storms there. So, and I saw that on the camera. We were getting a little bit of rain there, so it's beginning here over the next 15 to 30 minutes, especially in Wayne County there. Let's see if we got. Yeah, we're a little far away from that. How about our live radar? I think we might be just coming within range. Oh yeah, you can see it's noisy there, but you definitely are getting some wind readings in the upper levels. Let's see what we got there. There you go, almost 70 miles an hour there, 64.
And that's
80,
looking
at
2,700 feet.
2,700 feet, yeah. That's compared to 45 to 5,000 feet from the nearest other radars. So, yeah, that looks about right. Got to worry about later on seeing if those storms translate that down. It's pretty remarkable there. All right, I'm going to switch back to radar network, get a big picture here. Not seeing any lightning in southern middle Tennessee. Oh, there's one. So we might start to see those storms popping up a little bit stronger here over the next few minutes. But right now, still looks like this is the biggest cause for concern. Let's take a look at that. GWX. Okay, so we're squarely out of northeastern Mississippi now. Wow, check that out there over Burnout. Moving just down Highway 24. What you got?
I'm going to switch over to that real quick. That way.
Wow, 94 miles an hour there at 1,500 feet. So yeah, if nothing else, they did drop that tornado warning. So if nothing else, this is definitely a damaging wind event there in excess of 80, 90 miles an hour here at times possible. That's impressive. That is impressive. We got anything over here?
National Weather Service sees that as a transition to more of a bow echo.
Yeah, that's what I was keeping an eye on there. And you can see that evolution there. You got that wrapping area. That's what we were watching earlier. There it goes, right up through there. Yep.
So if you are in Muscle Shoals, if you are points along Highway 43 from Florence down to Russellville, you can anticipate some really powerful wind here over the course of the next few minutes. Also, and I don't mean to exclude, but the Florence Metro as well. Virtually anywhere that you're looking at the radar screen right now, you can anticipate those very, very powerful winds in this line to come across, especially what's coming through Cherokee to Red Bay right now, and
torrential downpours too in that. Thankfully that won't be too long lasting, so I think the flood threat's a little bit less, at least comparatively over the last few days, but that's some pretty torrential downpours there moving through there. It's probably going to be some blinding rain, and associated with that rain, with that wind, that would probably be some blinding rain. You probably don't want to be driving there on the highway, probably down through 72. Between Lane Springs and Cherokee, you know, it would probably be in your best interest to pull off for, call it 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes as the system moves through. You don't want to be driving in conditions like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
And what Kelly had the report a little bit ago of the tractor trailer that was overturned, correct on that?
Correct.
So, and you know, to reiterate that point, that is why we have school closings today, and I'm not going to rant, I promise, but that's why schools are out. When you have a big bus or even an 18-wheeler and the winds that we have today across the region that will continue now all the way through this afternoon, things are flipping over. And so great call for school systems. I mean, I think every school system in our coverage area canceled today, public and private. But nevertheless, that's why things happen the way they do, is because, and Fred put it perfect on Facebook yesterday, the cargo that those buses carry, very, very precious and irreplaceable. And so you always want to err on the side of caution. Strong winds and heavy rain with limited lightning coming down from West Lauderdale all the way through western Colbert, western Franklin, as this line of storms continues a march across the area. Not much happening on the northern end of this particular segment of the line. It is more broken as it has now come through Savannah. We don't have any reports of damage, at least at this point in Hardin County, that we're aware of, but we do still have some decent showers embedded running right along the Wayne-Hardin County line, and then really intensifying as you cross over Walnut Grove and then into Lauderdale County, where NWS Huntsville has issued the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 10:30 this morning. It is 9:54, and you are watching continuing live coverage on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel of the Wind Day 2023. So there you go.
That's the official title for it now.
That's, yeah, this is,
taking a look
unfortunately, it wasn't on a Wednesday. So 84-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is from our live Doppler radar based here at the Tennessee Valley Weather Center, and we're seeing winds
just above the ground. Oh, let me get that back up there. Yep, looking just above the ground. We've got 87 miles an hour there.
Holy smokes.
So definitely a sign. What you can see just above in the lowest level of the atmosphere is definitely kind of a sign of the times. You definitely want to take that seriously when you start seeing values like that low off of the ground. And definitely here at the studio, you can hear it on the tower if you step outside. You can hear the rattling of that tower.
Well, and I disappeared for a few minutes and went outside to check it out. And, you know, the video we did a long time ago, or several months ago.
Oh, Ben Cantori.
Yeah, the Cantori video of Fred having the Dr. Pepper walking behind me. That would not happen today. That Dr. Pepper would be long gone because it is so windy. It blew the front lobby here really apart as somebody walked in the front doors. I was out looking at things. So I think the wind gusts here, I asked up front, and the Davis station here had registered, I think, 31. I'm not sure what our cyclone port has had yet.
I'll go and check that now.
Nevertheless, that's still a real good wind gust, and sustained winds outside, I think, are riding right at around 20, 21 miles per hour. At least they were a few moments ago when I was up front. So
yeah,
Brian,
looks like we're sustained at 23 with a gust to 34.
Wow.
Taking a look at conditions right now. So it's definitely ramping up here in southern Middle Tennessee at the moment. That's just that gradient winds out ahead of that storm system coming through. So it's ramping up. That's for sure.
I did a little bit of research yesterday too, and the high wind warning, this is the first time that a high wind warning was in effect, at least for the Nashville CWA of the Nashville National Weather Service office. So I know one was issued for West Tennessee. I'm not sure about North Alabama. I don't know. I don't remember a Huntsville high wind warning in the past since Huntsville's been in operation for 20 years, but I may be wrong. But I think, again, first time for everything.
I think so too.
Real good wind features in this line of severe thunderstorms. This thunderstorm warning that does blanket all of northwest Alabama, our coverage counties in northwest Alabama, has the tag tornado possible. We want to reiterate to you that there could be some quick spin tornadoes that form in this line, drop down, touch, do a little bit of damage, and then come right back up, or dissipate rather, before the radar beam sweeps back around to detect anything like that. That's the kind of environment we're working with. And then after all of this is over, okay, we still have the gradient winds that we have to get through that will maintain the wind gusts upwards to near hurricane force all the way through this evening before things really get better a little bit later on. So a little bit of attention on this feature right here around Cherokee, just south of Cherokee, to the south and west of the Natchez Trace Parkway. Brian, what do we have on this guy?
Yeah, this was that same feature that was moving out of Belmont there a few moments ago. That's what warranted that initial tornado warning. And right now it looks like it's just kind of evolving into that wraparound feature at the rear end of this system, and it's not looking too impressive at the moment, at least in terms of total shear. That's kind of where you'd want to be looking for the chance of a possible tornado development over the next, say, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So that's what, of course, warranted that tag for tornado possible. But right now, I'm not seeing too much that alarms me right at this immediate moment. But
Brian, go ahead and go to radial velocity.
Yeah, you want me to get a I'll
and
hit
get
base
some.
here. Check that out. Let's see. Yeah, so here's storm relative velocity on that feature. And also, you'd also want to watch the front here in terms of the leading edge. That's another place you'd want to watch for the possibility for these spin-up tornadoes. And indeed, here you can see a little bit of shear just north of Highway 24. They're northeast of Burnout, northwest of Belgreen. That's going to be crossing the lake here soon. That's another place you would want to keep an eye on here. That's where those quick spin-ups on the front end of that line would be. So there's definitely a few spots to keep an eye on at the moment. Don't be mistaken, we're keeping an eye on all of them, but right now nothing screaming out at me is necessarily tornadic, but I think it would just be safe to say this whole area in this warning needs to consider the fact that it's possible, you don't want to be out in it. Stay inside, and you know what, stay away from windows as well while you're at it.
Yeah, and the reason why is because you have anything that can be picked up and thrown outside, like what Fred said earlier today. The official state bird for Tennessee and Alabama is going to be the trampoline before this is over. Yeah. Brian, if you would, let's do a big reset real quick. Take a big picture look from the top to bottom, how things are shaping up across the area. And when we put the radar network on, this is the composite of all the radars in the area. It becomes very easy to see where and why we're focusing on the Alabama portion of this line is because we do have that to be the most intense segment. What's coming through southern middle Tennessee, at least as of right now, not very characteristically on the more severe side. Obviously, there's no warning in effect for southern middle Tennessee as well, but we do have this. We are prioritizing, again, kind of like triage at the ER, okay? We're looking at the most severe part first, but we have 4 sets of eyes looking at radar all the time in this room right now. So we are not forgetting or leaving out anybody in coverage. It's just that this is the most dangerous looking part of the storm right now. And if we're not talking about southern middle Tennessee, Waynesboro, Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, Columbia, it's because the worst is to the south. All this is just a decent moderate to heavy rainstorm with limited lightning and some gusty wind, all right? When this broken, conglomerated mess crosses your area, and I guess that could be a new term of how we describe this, the winds will pick up quite a bit, and you will also see some moderate heavy rain, Highway 64 north. It's this segment down here and how this line is moving. I think Lawrenceburg south, Highway 40 or Highway 64 south, we need to be concerned in watching this portion of the line up into southern Lawrence and Giles, and then the Shoals Metro here within the next few minutes on seeing the core of this already very strong line that is rolling through. On top of Frankfort and New Bethel right now, coming up at Crooked Oak and Oakland at 10:05, Central Heights at 10:08, Tuscumbia at 10:09, reshaping that just a little bit, Tuscumbia 10:09, Sheffield at 10:10, Florence at 10:11, Muscle Shoals at 10:12. That is a 10-minute heads up for the arrival of this thing. Colbert Heights for the same. St. Florine coming up at 10:16. Zip City at 10:18. Killen, Alabama at 10:22. Layton coming up at 10:25. Lexington at 10:35. Rogersville at 10:41. Anderson coming up at 10:42. And then we get into southern Lawrence County, Union Hill at 10:43, and then Good Springs coming up at 10:48. Good Spring, by the way, I think that's going to be in East Lauderdale or Northwest Limestone.
County, yeah, I believe so.
But all right, so that's where we stand now at 10:02 p.m. or 10:02 a.m. Kind of feels like p.m. because I know for sure Brian and Fred have been up all night, and then Kelly and I were up and down watching, getting ready to come in for the main line show here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. So we're all kind of dragging this morning. So Vista's out, Vista Shores and Rogersville both are on leave at the moment, unfortunately.
I'll tell you, I bet we'll see a nice shelf cloud coming in here soon.
Tuscumbia should be good.
So let's see what we got there. Yeah, see, you're not really seeing much with the front edge of this because there is that rain falling out ahead of it. So it's just kind of this dreary mass of rain coming in here. You won't see much, that's for sure. That's true for any severe weather day in Dixie, it seems. you're really not going to see much. You don't have any social media value posting these pictures, right? So
yeah,
73,
absolutely.
dew point is 65,
Wow.
wind out of the south at 12 miles an hour. So
And that is wind gust, correct?
I think this should be...
No, that's the hourly sustained.
Okay,
wind from the
hourly
retard.
sustained. Okay.
Yeah. So the gusts are probably double that, if not a little bit more there in Tuscumbia. I've seen some reports 40, maybe even higher, still in northwestern Alabama. And in North Alabama, I saw a report of 49 knots at the Huntsville International Airport. So I think that's what we can expect for most of us across the area at the moment.
So yeah, no definable features. Let's take a look.
I have power outages queued up in Lynx 1.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, let's see.
Let's see.
35% of Tishomingo County is without power.
Looks like Colbert's starting to
Looks
roll
like
into-
Culbert's around 20-ish%. It won't give me a query on that one, but
Okay.
That may actually be the severe thunderstorm warning because we don't
that
get the
is,
numbers for call.
yeah,
Oh, Culbert, yeah.
That's true. So ignore Culbert County right there.
Wouldn't be surprising to
that-
see numbers about like that, though, as
Right.
that system
Yeah.
starts moving through.
Yeah, the way that works is Culver County does not yet have the automated system to report the numbers like some counties do. I hear they're working on that, but right now they don't have the automated meters, but I hear that is something they're working on.
Kelly, real quick, while you're at the controls of that computer, switch back to the west and let's look along the Mississippi River, because that's where those good gradient winds are starting to roll in now. And so that's going to kind of give us an idea as to how things are going to be shaping up as they work into here, because West Tennessee and Northwest Mississippi, that's where you are seeing those wind gusts really firing off. And so looking at the percentage at this point, about 10% there near Tunica, and then you've got probably 1 to 10% right along the Mississippi River from Memphis up and then into northwest Arkansas or northeast Arkansas.
Got a report from the National Weather Service in Memphis from back near Manatee, Mississippi. The storm we were watching with the tornado warning earlier have a report of wind damage back there with 2 injuries where a tree fell on a house near the Moorville and Manatee area. There were injuries, but they were able to evacuate the property. So this line of thunderstorms now moving into northwest Alabama has a history of not only damage, but injuries back into Mississippi as well. You have to take these warnings seriously, even if they're only severe thunderstorm warnings today.
All right, a couple of things real quick. Number one, have a report down of power lines and poles down on Quail Drive. That is in East Lawrenceburg. And I do want to mention, too, real quick, that those power outages are not instantaneously reported. That takes quite a bit of time to filter through our system, okay? So even though you look at that and say, oh, well, there's nothing out there for that county, notice as we started to talk about that, more outages were reported over the past several minutes into Tishomingo County, and that changed colors. So with that said, the Quail Drive outage is due to non-thunderstorm winds. There's nothing in East Lawrenceburg right now that would do that as far as a thunderstorm or convection is concerned, but you do have the intensifying line that runs from Waynesboro all the way down through Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties, and even points further south at this point. So,
Excuse me.
let's take a look, Brian. Go to Cherokee. Not camera, radar.
Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, that must be this thing moving over Highway 72 here, yeah. I saw that report, too, in the chat. That's that same feature that we were looking at there moving up through here, so that just about squares. We're starting to get into that point on radar where it's so high. The beam here is looking at 5,000 feet, so we won't necessarily see the tightest couplet, but the reflectivity structure definitely indicates that wrapping around on the back end of it here, so I think we can safely say that that's probably an accurate report there coming in from Cherokee there.
Yeah. I know there's a level of concern about this feature that is crossing the river as we speak, and as the crow fly, well, it has now, that will affect Florence north, Florence to Petersville, St. Florine, up toward the center community as well, as that, or Central Heights rather, as that continues to move to the east-northeast. And these are fast movers. I don't know if we have communicated that crystal clear enough for you without the crystal being blown away, but this has been a very, very fast-moving storm system across the area today, so it's kind of been hard to kind of keep pace with some of these cells or parts of the line as it moves across the region. But we are keeping eyes on this feature back to the south of the Oakland community in Rhodesville, right over Smithsonian. That's going to be...
Huntsville is also watching that. They say
yes.
They agree with our assessment that is that broad rotation from that previous warning. They're still watching it, but it's not as impressive, and indeed I think that's the right assessment at the moment. It's not quite as impressive as it was about 20 minutes ago when it warranted that tornado warning, so just wanted to let you know that the Weather Service is also keeping an eye on that. So we definitely have all hands on deck in terms of this system moving through northwestern Alabama right now.
I would also like to mention that folks in Tishomingo County, you have been dropped from the tornado watch. Those storms have moved out. You have been dropped from the tornado watch, Tishomingo County, Mississippi.
All right.
Looks like they're trimming that back there for those counties off to our west there. Though that's going to be gradient winds now that they're dealing with. They'll have fun with that, I'm sure. So they're trimming that watch back slowly but surely.
Now, when we go and transition from talking about what you're saying here in front of us, okay, or behind us rather, we can track, because of technology, a storm and say this storm at point A is going to point B and it has X number of winds in it, okay? However, after this line crosses, gradient winds we cannot see. Things will start to fall over or get picked up by wind that is again accustomed to a windy day. That's what we've got. We can't stand up here and say, oh, look, we have very strong winds here, here, and here. Once the line passes, we can't see it. So we will transition to a different form of coverage for how we're going to handle those gradient winds as they come across this afternoon or later this morning and into this afternoon here on Tennessee Valley Weather. Here's where we are as of right now. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for the areas under the gun across southern or northwest Alabama, including Lauderdale, almost all of Lauderdale County. The core of Lauderdale is under a severe thunderstorm warning. I think Huntsville's kind of trimmed up that just a little bit. Lauderdale, central portions of Colbert County, the western third, or western fourth rather, of Lawrence County, Alabama, and most all of Franklin County. You can see the big flashing yellow box. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. That is a blanket warning for this thing. There is not much lightning, but buddy, there's a lot of wind in this. And then just over the state line, we are seeing that what has kind of looked to be just a little bit more intense over the past little bit of this line segment coming through Wayne County running Highway 13. Waynesboro, all the way down through Collinwood, back down to Cypress Inn. Again, nothing we're seeing is jumping off the screen as being tornadic here. Our live Doppler radar would be looking for that, and Brian's got that pulled up looking, not seeing anything along those lines, but there is some definite wind in the sky in addition to locally heavy rainfall. This segment of this is on its way into Lawrence County, Murray County, and Giles over the course of the next hour, okay? Have a little bit of time to go before that reaches, but Waynesboro is under the gun. Let's take the Waynesboro camera real quick.
Absolutely. Oh, wrong state. There we go. Let's see what we got. Yep, there goes that downpour. Yeah. It's coming down. And
again, this is a very, we're blessed to have really good infrastructure for the Arctic Air Skycam network. Some sites, because of how big the towers are, a little bit more strengthened than the other, and this is a big tower, okay? This is a big, thick tower that doesn't like to wobble a lot during severe weather, and so we are seeing enough shaking, so even though it's not just kind of jittering all over the road, still some decent wind here, just looking at it at this point there, and that's at the Wayne County 911 Center. That is looking, I believe, this particular shot is looking almost due south. So at 10:13, that is the view in the heart of Wayne County, Tennessee.
Also want to say that in Lawrence County, power pole lines down across the road on Old Florence-Pulaski Road, half a mile west of Revelo Road. That's 8 miles southeast of Lawrenceburg. So there are still more damage reports coming in with that gradient wind here into the Middle Tennessee at the moment. It looks like it's just now ramping up here. across the area. In fact, here.
Well, and too, as those reports came in and geographically where they are, they're riding the front line of that, or riding on the front of the approaching line.
Yeah, it looks
storms.
like they're right there on the leading sort of edge there. It could possibly be some outflow. Wouldn't shock me though if it's just that straight gradient wind. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on our cyclone port here at the station and our systems at the station to see what the gusts are. And they're slowly ramping up, slowly increasing each new scan here. Right now we're sustained 24 miles an hour at the station. So I've been keeping an eye on that, and it's ramping up. We're getting there.
Check Stewartsville real quick. The camera.
Sure thing. Where would that be?
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
It's northwest Lauderdale County.
So that would be.
It is not in the
it's
links.
not in this system.
Okay, that's okay. Or in the menu.
It's probably getting.
It's in there, but
it's probably a similar site to Waynesboro there at the moment, I'd imagine, especially as it's coming around. I'm going to switch, in fact, to high top. See what we got going on here.
And the reason why those pictures look a little bit different, our live radar is looking really low, high top is looking really high. It's the analogy of taking a knife and cutting through a multi-layered cake, and the bottom layer is strawberry, the top is vanilla, and you never see the chocolate in between because you look at one level and the other, and that's what our live radar is doing, even though it can look up, but we specifically have it looking low for a reason, because we're looking for quick spin low-level tornadoes in this line of storms today. So that's why the image looks a little bit different compared to the bigger and much more expensive federal government radars this morning. Heavy rain continues in Collinwood along 13 South, also along the Natchez Trace. That continues through downtown Cypress End, picking up rain intensity now Lexington, back over through Green Hill, just to the south of Zip City, down through Killen. The Florence Metro getting pounded by some heavy rain and wind at the moment. That continues across the dam, across the Tennessee River into Colbert County, and then the shoals down through Colbert Heights, Littleville, seeing the core of the line now. Layton rather, is getting about ready to enter into that too. Real quick, and if somebody wants to change out, I want to do one more thing before I rotate off. Let's look at Murray real quick. Not talked a lot about Murray. There's not been a lot. Might switch over to OHX for that. We've not talked a lot about Lewis County either, because that's not much. That is not well organized at all. That is just a big line of rain and some gusty wind. All right, barely. There's one lightning strike.
One single strike there just south of Hohenwald.
Yeah, that's it. And so Murray County, it's windy in Murray. We've talked about that so far. Marshall County too, nothing really happening yet, of course. All of this line has got to get from one end to the other. It will eventually reach you, but as of right now, there's nothing happening, and there's nothing severe out here, okay? This is just a big old mess of rain, some gusty wind. We are watching it, though, just in case, but there's no warning. Still, I want you to treat this seriously because of the wind. Just because there's no severe thunderstorm warning, just because there's no tornado warning in effect for all of this, doesn't mean that you couldn't get hurt if you go outside during the weather today. All right, I just stuck my head out and brought it right back in. It blew what two hairs that I had on top off. They were gone in a flash because it is that windy, and you could be out looking and saying, oh man, look at that, and here comes the neighbor's trampoline right at your head. So I hate to be graphic like that, but that's the truth. So please be careful. Please be smart. Please be smart. Even if something is not flashing over where you live, be smart today. And with that, I'm going to walk off and sit down for a minute, and whoever wants to fill back in for me, let her roll.
All right, we're going to pick back up on coverage here. Let's go to GWX radar.
Sure thing.
And, all right, some of the heaviest weather right now, like Ben was talking about, coming through the Shoals Metro now. Let's focus in on Lauderdale, Colbert counties here, the central part of these areas. And the highest wind is going to be on the leading edge of this line of thunderstorms here, where we have the severe thunderstorm warning. We'll go back to reflectivity for right now.
Oh, sure.
And some of that is coming through Killen, down through Nitrate City, down through the Littleville area. And again, The overall line is moving to the east, but the individual portions of the line moving off to the northeast. So some of this coming up toward Elgin, Rogersville, Town Creek, Neesmith, Hatton, Cortland, these areas here in eastern Lauderdale, eastern Colbert, northwestern Lawrence counties, all in northwest Alabama. The intense part of the line does go back down into central areas of Franklin County. So we'll shift the radar back into Franklin County and look at some of these communities as well. Some of the intense portion of the line from Fairview down to Russellville, back to Frankfort, Bell Green. It's east of the Cedar Creek Reservoir. Now, we were just talking about you last night with the tornadic storms that were coming through. Glasgow Corner, the Franklin County EMA, the heaviest part of that's just east of that now on Alabama Highway 187 down to Duketon, Nicks Mill, and that's about to be coming through Isabel, Spruce Pine, Phil Campbell, eventually through Newburgh, Waco, Oak Grove, Posey Mill, and Carroll Crossroads. The line moving east-northeast at 50+ miles per hour. So we're going to do a larger zoom here. And Brian, go ahead and get me a squall track. And then as soon as you draw the squall track out for 50 miles per hour, kind of bank it a little northeast instead of due east. Then go ahead and change the close to zoom to, let's do 50 here, and we'll talk about some of the communities in the path of the storm. Hold the times of arrival here for just a second.
There you go.
Brian's going to adjust that. We're talking about Leeton, your area now. Phil Campbell now. Town Creek, Alabama, 1031. Anderson and Rogersville, 1034. Cortland and North Cortland, 1037 to 1038. Coxie, 1042. Moulton, 1046. Elkmont, 1055. Trinity, 1056. Athens, 1058. And again, not all of these areas in a severe thunderstorm warning, but this is the track for the next hour. There will likely be additional severe thunderstorm warnings issued over the remainder of Lawrence County, Alabama, into Limestone County, Alabama, and Morgan County, Alabama, as this line has a history of damaging wind back into North Mississippi, in addition to some injury reports. So this is a pretty serious situation we have with the storms that have moved out of Mississippi into northwest Alabama. Moulton by 1046, Elkmont 1055, Trinity 1056, Athens 1058. If I repeated a few of these, sorry about that. Athens at 1058, Tanner at 1101, Ardmore 1102, Decatur 1104, Capshaw and Harvest at 1112. This line is going to be booking it. I think most of the line is going to be out of the area by 12 to 12:30 this afternoon. But until then, we have that heightened potential for damaging straight line winds. So we're going to watch the line very carefully for the potential for a few spin-up tornadoes. So we're going to clear off the track here.
Hey, Fred, real quick. Drew reports out of the Shoals Bureau that it is basically whiteout conditions in Florence. Winds are around 40 miles per hour. Did have a 48 mile per hour gust in downtown Florence. And trees down at Frankfort Road and 72 in Tuscumbia. Lines down and across the road at that location as well.
All right, so and then that's exactly what we expect with all this going on. You can see the polygon's been trimmed a little bit more now as the line continues to move east. So from the thunderstorms, Waterloo to Cherokee to Red Bay, you're now out of the severe thunderstorm warning. But like we've been talking about all morning, the gradient winds are still going to continue well into the afternoon, and those wind gusts may be even stronger than what you see with the line. So just because the line moves through does not, by any remote stretch of the imagination, mean that you're done with the intense weather for the day. It just means that it's not going to be associated with the rain and thunder anymore when you get these intense wind gusts. So be aware of that. If you haven't gotten wind damage yet, you still may through the afternoon as the winds continue to gust. And like Ben and Kelly and Brian have been detailing before I stepped onto the wall, the damage is a mix of thunderstorm wind gusts and non-thunderstorm wind gusts. It hasn't all been from the thunderstorms. It's also been from the pressure gradient out ahead of the thunderstorms, and that's exactly what we've been warning you about that would occur and why we've been calling this a high impact wind event across areas. So we'll hit the DMA view, talk about a big reset for the area and tell you where we are. Thunderstorms are now east, and we'll put on the single site next rad. It updates just a little bit faster here. The line of thunderstorms stretches from west of Hohenwald down to near the Ovilla area, east of Waynesboro, down to about Fairview, Iron City and St. Joe, down through Green Hill, Killen, down through about Nitrate City to Littleville to Russellville to near Phil Campbell. That's moving east-northeast at 50 miles an hour. Over the next hour, that will be coming across the rest of Lawrence County, Tennessee, through Murray County, Tennessee, through Giles County, Tennessee, and into Marshall County, Tennessee. Now, that's a lot of real estate to cover over the next hour, but this line is moving 50, 60 miles an hour, if not faster. And unlike you driving on the highway, these don't stop at traffic lights and railroad crossings and go around curves and things like that. It's a straight shot at 50, 60, whatever miles per hour it's going. These will fly through here quickly. So over the next hour to hour and a half, it's going to cover the rest of southern Middle Tennessee. The same northwest Alabama, eastern Lauderdale County, all of Lawrence County, Alabama, Limestone County, Alabama, Morgan County, Alabama. You're going to see this through now and about 12 to 12:15, maybe through 12:30 for eastern areas of Morgan County. And because of the nature of the wind damage threat, and since we have reports of structural damage today in Mississippi with the storms, and we have reports of injuries from the storms back in Mississippi. They don't sound serious, but they have been some injuries. We're just going to stay here nonstop until we get the storms out of here over the next couple of hours. So an enhanced wind damage threat with the line itself, and an enhanced wind damage threat from the overall pressure gradient that goes through the afternoon. Do you have a camera you need to look at?
Go to Phil Campbell.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to step out while you guys talk about what you need to cover.
Drew was keeping an eye on this behind the scenes here, and he said the Phil Campbell camera has that coming through here. Look at that wind, though, if nothing else. South at 26 at the moment, temperature of 71, dew point at 66, so that's a ripe environment there. Also checking a look here.
Drew indicates that they just lost power at the side. So they actually have a generator, so it should come back in a little bit.
We'll
Kelly, if you don't mind, we won't go to this at this second, but will you get the watch warning graphic ready on Lynx 1, and we'll switch to that in just a second.
I'll keep an eye on that in the background there. We'll wait for that to... That's that part of the line here. That looks like that might be ramping up just a little bit because we're starting to get that lightning increasing. We had about a dozen, maybe a couple dozen lightning strikes in the frame here as this line was actually coming out of northeastern Mississippi. Now we're looking at 47 strikes in the frame. So it looks like that part of the line here is starting to strengthen just a little bit, at least in terms of updraft robustness, so to speak here. So I think that might have even been a lightning strike. Could have been anything there.
Very well could have. Before we go to the watch warning map, do have a new report. This is from Spotter Network. This has been relayed. An unconfirmed report here of power lines down at Highway 72 just west of Town Creek in Lawrence County, Alabama. And that's very possible from the gradient winds. Again, trees and power lines could come down not just from the thunderstorms, but the overall gradient winds. Let's go ahead and hit Lynx 1 for just a second, do an overall reset with the watches and warnings. We've had the tornado watch for all of the viewing area until 1 o'clock this afternoon. As the line of thunderstorms has shifted east, they've started to remove counties. Hardin County, Tennessee in the viewing area. Tishomingo County, Mississippi in the viewing area. It was announced a little earlier, but reminding you again, your tornado watch has now been canceled for the day. In our viewing area, it still remains in effect for Wayne, Lawrence, Giles, Lewis, Murray, and Marshall counties in southern Middle Tennessee, as well as Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin, Lawrence, Morgan, and Limestone counties in northwest Alabama. Tornado watch until 1 o'clock. As the line moves east, it will continue to be trimmed on the west side of it from west to east. The flashing yellow polygons, those are severe thunderstorm warnings in our viewing area. That's much of east central Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties into western areas of Lawrence County, Alabama. That should be running until 10:30, yep. I believe. I haven't seen any reports that they are going to extend that yet. But they noted earlier, the National Weather Service did, that their game plan for the day is to issue these long duration severe thunderstorm warning polygons out ahead of the line of thunderstorms. So there may be a new severe thunderstorm warning coming at any moment for the rest of Lauderdale County or the rest of Lawrence County, Alabama, and probably into Limestone and Morgan. We'll see if they issue that or not, but even if they don't, damaging straight line winds are possible with the line of thunderstorms. Do any of you guys have anything in chat or anything you need to talk about? Kelly, you have anything over there at the moment?
I've been just trying to keep track of power outages. I got a report from my friend who lives in Muscle Shoals. She said that a few minutes ago that you just simply could not see outside because, one, it's raining so hard, and two, the wind is blowing the rain at about between 40 to 50 miles an hour, if not more at some times. So again, with this line of storms, you may not see a tornado warning, you may see a severe thunderstorm warning. It is not something you want to be out in because you will not be able to see, and that is crucial, especially with a lot of rain falling with these storms, because we have some puddling and ponding starting to happen on the roads, as well as the wind damage reports that are coming in. So it is not the time to be out and about. It is the time to stay where you are until this line of storm passes you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. While we look at the Hatton Live Arctic Air Skycam, we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in northwest Alabama for portions of Colbert, Coleman County. Coleman County is outside the viewing area, but Coleman, Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale, Lawrence, Limestone, and Morgan in North Alabama until 11:30. Here's the live view of the thunderstorms approaching from the west in Hatton, Alabama, in western Lawrence County. This is the live Arctic Air Skycam network. You see the temperature 73. Dew point is at least 61. Now, we've learned from a few tornado days already that dew point at that sensor is usually several degrees too low. So the dew points may actually be in the mid, if not upper 60s. Notice the southeast wind of 10 miles per hour.
Switch it to Phil Campbell here. Looks like we might have
Yeah,
that
we got it back.
Let's see what we got there.
And it's impressive.
Wow, look how fast that rolled through. This should be the back end of it, if I'm not mistaken, because...
that is an hourly sustained wind value on the screen of 26 miles per hour. That's not a current sustained wind or a gust. So with the hourly measurement, we have a current gust of 31.5, and it looks like it's been as high as 35 to 40 here recently.
45.
All right, it's been gust here with the line through Phil Campbell have been as high as 45 miles per hour. So this intense wind, you know, a severe thunderstorm warning is verified by 58 mile per hour wind gust. On a day like today, since we've had this heavy rain the past couple days, and we have the weakened tree root systems, you're not going to need that 58 mile per hour wind to knock down trees and even power lines. So just a 40, 45 mile per hour wind is going to do damage today, is going to uproot trees, knock them on the power lines, be a danger to you driving. So that's the situation there. Let's go back to Viper and show this new polygon where we have the severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for the remainder of eastern Lauderdale County, Alabama, eastern Colbert County, Alabama, eastern Franklin County, Alabama, roughly from about Grassy and Green Hill down to Killen, to Littleville, to Russellville, to Phil Campbell, eastward through Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties until 11:30. It includes all of Lawrence County, Alabama, top to bottom, left to right. It includes the western half of Morgan County, Alabama, generally along and west of I-65. And it includes much of Limestone County, Alabama, including the western side of Ardmore, Elkmont, Athens, Tanner, down to the Decatur Metro Pryor Field, back westward through the county. Severe thunderstorm warning now until 11:30 for this wall of wind and rain that's coming through. Farther to the north, Lawrence County, Tennessee, Giles County, Tennessee, Lewis County, Tennessee, Murray County, Tennessee. The storms are not severe in the classic sense. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings up here, but still gusty winds, 40, 45, 50 miles per hour, very possible, even with those storms as well. But where we could be seeing 60 mile per hour winds or greater is with this intense portion of the line that stretches from Lexington down to about Elgin or so, down through Leeton, through the White Oak community, down to Phil Campbell, and that's moving quickly east at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. So let's take a squall track on that, on the leading edge, and then do that zoom edit for the value of 50. And we'll talk about some communities and the times of arrival.
There we go.
And Town Creek 1036, Rogersville 1039, Anderson 1040, Cortland and North Cortland between 1041 and 1042, Good Springs 1045, Moulton 1046, Coxie 1048, Trinity 1058, Elkmont 1059, Athens 1102, Tanner 1104, Elkton 1105, also Decatur 1105, Ardmore 1107. Ardmore's here 1107, so I would say that lines up with the idea that we're likely going to have this out of eastern Morgan County and out of the entire viewing area by 12 to 12:15. So in the lunchtime hour, the thunderstorms will be shifting out. So we have about another hour and a half to go. And until then, we have this potential for damaging straight line winds and small embedded tornadoes. So let's look at storm relative velocity for just a second. I see a few breaks in the line. I don't see anything that sticks out as tornadic at the moment. We'll continue to watch that. We still have that tornado watching effect. And on a day like today, these things can spin up in half of a heartbeat. But for right now, I don't see anything that looks like a tornado on radar. But we'll continue to watch everything carefully as the storms move through northwest Alabama and southern middle Tennessee. And again, I want to stress southern middle Tennessee, we're not ignoring you, and we can pan the radar up to the north so you can see the radar. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings for any part of southern middle Tennessee. We don't issue warnings here. The National Weather Service does, and we just pass them along. They are the government authority that they're the only ones with the legal rights to issue a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, and they have not issued one. Wind gusts could still be 40 to 50 miles an hour, even without a warning, though. And those storms are coming through the Hohenwald area, down through Lawrenceburg, through the West Point area, down to Loretto, the Henryville area center, Ovilla, moving eastward through Loretto, Leoma, down to Iron City and St. Joe, moving through the rest of Lawrence County, Etheridge, Summertown. Some of the heavier rain moving through Campbellsville down to Bodenham and western Giles County now. That's going to be moving through the entirety of Murray County over the next 30 to 45 minutes, through the entirety of Giles County, Tennessee over the next 30 to 45 minutes, through the entirety of Marshall County, Tennessee over the next hour to hour and 15 minutes. Wayne County, Tennessee, the storms are past you now, but your threat from wind gusts that could do damage is not over for the day. It's just that the tornado threat and the thunderstorm threat has passed you now, but you're still going to have to be aware of these gradient wind gusts of 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, even behind the line for the rest of the afternoon. You guys have anything you need to talk about while we're here, or?
Just taking a look.
I just wanted something to note in chat from the NWS office in Huntsville. This is a good comparison to kind of understand a little bit more of the strong winds that we are experiencing, because according to NWS Huntsville, they just want us to emphasize that there has been a history of damaging wind and power outages with this line of storms, and just to put it into reference, the winds are on par with an EF0 tornado right now. So we're not talking about a specific EF0 tornado, but we're talking about the same wind speed and wind strength and damage potential associated with an EF0 tornado. So these winds are not something to take lightly. They are very serious and potentially damaging and potentially life-threatening as well. And
that's why we always stress that you need to take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. I know over the course of a year we often see a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings issued, but when you have damaging straight line winds, wind does not have to be rotating to be damaging and to be a threat to your life and your property. It does not have to be rotating, whether you believe that or not. It could be straight line and be just as damaging, just as deadly as a lower end tornado. And that stresses that point, is that these wind gusts are as high as what you would expect from a lower end tornado that can knock down trees and power lines. And that's why we're so concerned. We have a history of reports of that. We have a history of structural damage back in the portions of Mississippi. We have reports earlier of entrapment and injury, of what seems like minor injuries back in the northeast Mississippi. So that ramps up the concern, whether there's a tornado warning or not, whether there's a severe thunderstorm warning or not. That ramps up the concern for the entire line, whether you're in southern middle Tennessee or North Alabama. And that's just why we're staying here nonstop with the coverage until the storms move out. Even though there's not a tornado warning in place right now, there doesn't have to be for your life to be in danger if the winds knock down trees or a power line near you. And that's why we need you inside, away from windows until the storms pass, and then still be mindful of the gradient wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour through the afternoon. Heavier weather right now. We've talked about southern middle Tennessee. Now we're going to focus back on northwest Alabama, where we actually have severe thunderstorm warnings. Heavier weather stretches from near Lexington down to Elgin on the west side of Rogersville, back down to about the White Oak community, and then into far eastern areas of Franklin County, east of Phil Campbell near the Posey Mill area. This is going to be coming through the entirety of Lawrence County, Alabama over the next 30 to 45 minutes. So we'll hold the radar view right here and clear that off. So from Town Creek, Cortland over to Hillsboro, down through Moulton, Cleveland Springs, Mount Hope, Hepsidam, Wren, over to Speake, Caddo, Wolftown, these areas that straddle Lawrence and Morgan counties, and then coming into western Morgan County from top to bottom, Trinity, Decatur, Priceville, Hartsville, Falkville, back westward, Pumpkin Center, Andrews Chapel, and then up in the Limestone County. You're not out of the woods at all by any means. We'll pan the radar back up in the Limestone County now. Excuse me. And the storms moving through eastern Lauderdale County will be approaching Anderson and Rogersville over the next 10 minutes or so, and then they're going to be moving into Limestone County. So let's focus a little tighter. Let's see some of our smaller communities so we can start calling this out. Lester, Mount Roselle, Cairo and Cartwright, Coxie, Clements, Ripley, you're going to be first up as the storms move in. And again, we're not necessarily talking about tornadoes here, but damaging straight line winds on par with the lower end tornado. From there, Legtown, Cartwright, Blackburn, down to Lawson, Orville, Tanner, Athens, Piney Chapel, Elkmont, Thatch, Ardmore, and eventually the warning's likely going to be extended eastward through French Mill, Pisgah, Pinedale, down through Capshaw, Oakland, Belmina, and the rest of Limestone County here over the next hour or so. These damaging winds of 60, maybe 70 miles an hour at times, very likely as the line moves eastward at 50, 55, 60 miles per hour. Again, no tornado warnings for any part of the viewing area, but doesn't take it for there to be a widespread danger with the straight line winds. Ben, what you got for us?
Take Lexington camera real quick.
All right.
That is ground zero at the moment. And wow,
check that out.
There you go.
And while we look at that, just a quick note, we're not going to switch away from this, but National Weather Service in Huntsville watching a broad rotation of southwest Lawrence County, Alabama. No need for any type of warning for it right now other than the severe thunderstorm warning they have, but they're letting us know that they're watching it carefully in case it ramps up. You know, look at the wind. This is Lexington, Alabama. That's in the northeast part of Lauderdale County, and you can see the wind kicking up here. This is live on the Arctic Air Skycam network, and this is just the scene outside. It's 70 degrees. Dew point is 66 with a south-southeast wind at 12 miles per hour. So as you know, we talk about the conditions during severe weather. You know that's a very favorable environment for damaging winds. And anywhere along the line, we'll have to watch for a spin-up tornado or two. But tornadoes really, if they happen today, they're dangerous, but they're not the focus. And you don't need to stop paying attention if there's not a tornado warning. That's what we need to stress. In all honesty, you don't need to stop paying attention if there's not a severe thunderstorm warning in place, because it's not even going to take thunderstorms to produce these gusty straight line winds that can knock down trees and power lines. This kind of wind situation, it's not unheard of by any means here in the Tennessee Valley, but it's not one that we don't see. It's not one we see too often around here, maybe a couple times a year at most. And sometimes we'll go a whole year or two without seeing a wind event this widespread, this significant. So it's a little up there. You may have noticed on our graphics last night and this morning on our channel, the L-bar configuration, we turned everything red. We don't do that too often, put ourselves in a little red alert mode, but we do that when we expect a significant threat to life and property. That type of wording is not to scare you, but it's to let you know the seriousness of the situation, not because we're talking about homes being blown away from big tornadoes or anything, but the widespread nature of the damaging wind today. We just have a higher number of population in danger from the potential for trees coming down, power lines coming down, high-profile vehicles being blown around on the road. This is a high-impact wind event, whether you're dealing with thunderstorms or just a gradient wind. You see the conditions
really
there.
ripping.
Yeah, and that low-level jet about 3,000 to 5,000 feet above the ground that's screaming bloody murder, that gets mixed down to the ground, even behind the storms. When you start to get the drier air punching in, that's actually going to mix the strongest winds of the day. That will likely happen behind the line of thunderstorms when we start to break the sun back out in the drier air, and that drier air helps mix those stronger low-level winds down to the surface. That's when I think we'll really see the strongest wind gusts today. So we'll come away from the camera here, and we'll go back to the radar.
Hey,
what you got?
As you get into that mode of transition, by the way, I'm going to put Bryan up there for just a second, where you can walk back if you want to. But the winds are really looking, I mean, very impressive. Looking at Olive Branch, Back at Olive Branch, Mississippi, we've got sustained winds of 17, gusts at 22.5, and it is clear blue sunny sky. It's cleared out that fast. We have gusts in Jackson, Tennessee at 45 miles per hour right now, sustained at 30. In Martin, Tennessee, with a brand new sensor there, 20 mile per hour gust. And so and I want to check one more up in Decaturville, Tennessee. Sustained is indicating at 19.
And just because you hear Ben say a 20 mile per hour gust doesn't mean that it wasn't gusting 40 or 50 5 minutes ago. A gust is up and down, up and down. Even the sustained wind is not sustained for a long period of time. That's a 3-minute average is usually how that works. So we're going to hold the radar here for just a moment because the National Weather Service saying they're watching a bookend vortex between Rogersville and Lexington here in the radar. Let's go to storm relative velocity and see how that looks and kind of center the rotation up in the middle of the screen here. And that's going to be on Alabama Highway 207 near the Whitehead community and Anderson. That's not going to be too far from the Fish Creel restaurant out there. You know where that is if you're local to the area. That is not a tornadic situation yet, but that's the type of circulation we're going to have to watch very carefully to see if it spins up. That would be moving quickly northeast through this northwest corner of Limestone County, Good Springs to Lester, Gordesville to Legtown, and then into southern areas of Giles County, Minor Hill, Stella to the Prospect area. Watch this broad circulation carefully over the next 15 minutes to see if it tries to tighten up. There's also a secondary area east of Phil Campbell. Nothing to do with tornado warning yet, but another rotation out here west of Youngtown and southwestern areas of Lawrence County. Let's get the radar and then stop wherever you're comfortable with.
Should be right about there.
Here's the broad circulation. This is Alabama Highway 33 that runs from Moulton down to Double Springs. That's Hepsidam, Wren, Youngtown, and they're watching this broad circulation here. This is over the Bankhead National Forest in the southwest part of Lawrence County, Alabama. That would be quickly heading northeast up toward Wren, Hepsidam. That's Alabama Highway 36 that runs from Wren through Speak, crosses Alabama 157, and then runs over toward Hartselle along I-65. So that's that state highway. That would be coming up into this area. So watch this in south central Lawrence County, Alabama, into western Morgan County, Alabama. Again, not a tornado warning, but we have two broad circulations we're going to have to watch carefully in the line. If anything else, they're going to enhance the potential for straight line winds. And then we also have this bow echo here from near the Town Creek area down through Landersville to Youngtown coming across Hatton. That's going to be coming right through Moulton and Wren over the next 10 to 15 minutes or less, damaging straight line winds here. That's going to be coming through Cleveland Springs, 5 Points, Oakville, Speak up to Caddo, coming across Alabama 157 and Alabama 24. Alabama 24 is that 4-lane highway from Red Bay through Russellville to Moulton to the Decatur metro area. 157 is that main 4-lane from the Shoals down to Coleman, Alabama. And these portions of it, of both highways in Lawrence County, damaging straight line winds of 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. If at all possible, you don't need to be out on those highways. Head toward a gas station or a fast food restaurant somewhere and try to seek shelter off the road until these storms pass over the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then what you guys got? Right, let's go to the Hatton Skycam and see what conditions are like as the line itself is directly pushing in. I imagine winds were probably gusting at...
We've got it at 40.
That 44. May not be... Oh, there we go. It just came back. So we've just had wind gusts of at least 40 as the lines move through here.
And look how fast
it looks like the back edge is clearing out now. This is looking southwest to west from Hatton. This is near the fire department there. Sounds like our power is clicking on and off here at the station in Lawrenceburg, but you can see the drier air mixing in behind the line, and that's actually going to increase the wind gusts this afternoon. Once you start seeing the clearing skies behind the line, that dry air allows the wind 5,000 feet above the ground to mix down to the ground, and that's when the wind gusts are really going to go up for the afternoon.
All right. Yeah, it looks like that was our power here, but thankfully the generator worked just fine.
There you go.
Power is flickering all over town, actually. I just got inundated with messages about that.
Sounds like it's a universal experience there. I'm checking our station here right now at the station, Sustained
Power
wind
is
to
out.
26. Sustained wind to 26 right now, gust to 33. So
Power is out at Rotary Park, so on the west side of town.
Kelly is looking at power outage numbers in southern Middle Tennessee and northwest Alabama. Kelly, what have you been seeing over there the past few minutes?
Yeah, so it'll take a few minutes from that surge that everyone just kind of experienced. But right now there are 66 people reported out of power in Lawrence County specifically. Lawrence County, Tennessee, that is. But I expect that number to potentially go up with all of the surges, or if anyone actually did lose power within that last little bit. As far as some heftier power outages, in Franklin County, Alabama, they have over 2,000 without power, and I think they have right around 5,000 reporting on the power outage website, so that's a pretty significant amount. Again, over 2,000 people without power, and let's see, Florence, or Lauderdale County just came in as well. Let's see. They're looking at about 100 right now. That came out just moments ago. Let me check. Oh, it's closer to 200 actually. 197 without power in Lauderdale County, 2,100 in Franklin County, and over 1,000 in Tishomingo County, Mississippi. At this time, again, there's a little bit of a delay with reporting. Okay, Lawrence County just spiked up to nearly 2,000 without power here in Lawrenceburg.
Goodness.
Sounds about
and
right.
those numbers area-wide are just going to keep on going up through the afternoon. Like we've been warning you, this is going to be one of these widespread power outage situations through the day. Now, as the winds die down later this afternoon and this evening, crews will be able to get out there and safely start to work on moving trees off of lines, repairing lines that may be down, that kind of thing. I don't think this is going to be the type of situation where you have just trees down and on power lines for days and days and days, and that type of situation. The weather won't be inclement for too long today, but it's going to take deeper into the afternoon before we get the winds to settle down. This is the live Arctic Air Skycam network here, Skycam here in Lawrenceburg, and you can see the camera just bouncing and torquing around as we look north up North Locust Avenue here in downtown Lawrenceburg. 69 degrees is the last reported temperature that updates a couple times an hour, dew point 65. So we have this rich, unstable air mass here, southeast wind at 17. I'll tell you, if the atmosphere about 18,000 feet was a couple degrees cooler today and the storms were a little more cellular, this would be a much different conversation we would be having with you. This would be a much more serious tornado threat. We are very thankful those ingredients did not come into play today, because a lot of other ingredients have been favorable for tornado development. We've just had some limiting factors. We're very thankful for that. But regardless, we've had a lot of wind damage today, whether it's been from thunderstorms or whether it's just been from the gradient winds. So we'll flip away from the sky cams here and go back to the radar and hit the DMA view, clear off our little warning box, and we'll take an overall reset. Still have some pockets of heavy rain and lightning moving back into Lewis County and moving through the northern half of Wayne County, Tennessee, really extending all the way down to Lutz. That's not severe, but there could be some gusty winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour in that. The heavier thunderstorms shifting out of Lawrence County, Tennessee, with time shifting over in through Giles County. A lot of this is just rain and embedded thunder, but with that, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds are possible. But the stronger storms are from Minor Hill down to Rogersville, and then down to Moulton through Wren down in the Winston County, and those are headed eastward. We really have two severe storms here. Notice the two bow echoes we have on radar in northwest Alabama, and those are headed eastward here about 50-55 miles an hour. In terms of metro areas in northwest Alabama, these are affecting. They're moving through Moulton now. They're going to be moving through Athens and Decatur and Hartsville soon. And then probably here by about 12 o'clock or just after, likely moving into the Huntsville metro area. And then we'll have a lot of viewers watch us over there. We will alert you if you get a warning. However, we don't do extended coverage over there. You're outside the viewing area, but we will alert you if a polygon includes your area before we go back off as storms shift out of the viewing area. But for right now, severe thunderstorm warnings still include eastern areas of Lauderdale County. About another 10-15 minutes, I can clear you from the thunderstorms there. I can clear you from the thunderstorms In Colbert County and Franklin counties, now the line shifted off to the east. You're still going to have this gradient wind situation for the rest of the afternoon, but the line shifted out of Colbert County and Franklin County now, and that's moving through the central part of Lawrence County, Alabama, moving quickly up on western Morgan County over the next 15 to 20 minutes, and moving into western Limestone County at this time, and moving eastward at 50 to 60 miles an hour. I'm going to let one of you guys talk for just a few minutes while I step away, and we'll reconfigure.
Sure, I'll talk a little bit about the storms here. It looks like they're starting to kind of split into these two more notable areas of concern here. This one's just now crossing the state line. No severe on the north side of it. Remains to be seen if that's going to happen. No word on that just yet. But you still have that on the south side there near Anderson, crossing the state line near Highway 99 into Limestone County, and that's what we've been watching there. Let's take a look at velocity real quick. Looks like it's still kind of just a shear line there with the main threat of damaging winds, and of course the tornado possible tag is still there on that severe thunderstorm, so you cannot rule out the chance of some quick spinning action there on that leading front, but nothing right now stands out to me here. Hopping it down a little bit across the state line, this is what the Weather Service in Huntsville's keeping an eye on as well. They've added 1-inch hail possible here in Lawrence County in Alabama near Moulton. It's no surprise. Take a look at that near Highway 33. DBZ reflectivity values in excess of 60 here. Let's take a look at some Pixie query. Yeah, there you go. So looks like the chance for hail is also increasing. The updraft is definitely strengthening. You got total strike here 72 here over the last 15 minutes, 73, another one there. So these updrafts are definitely strengthening in northwestern Alabama at the moment. Looks like this is taking on a bit of a bowing shape, and that's no surprise there. You can see that on radar. Take a look at that. Let's get a pixel query there. 81 miles an hour on that front end, 95 miles an hour there south of Wren. Now, of course, that's not necessarily going to be right there at the ground level. This is looking a little bit up. This is the high top radar, so it's about 50 miles away from this area. We're looking at about, 3,000 or 4,000 feet, but that's still probably a good indication of things to come there. Ben, you got something?
We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just dropped for Giles, Lawrence, Murray, and Marshall.
So that's what I was just talking about there. Okay.
That warning will be in effect until 11:30. Also, real quick, go ahead and let's switch over to the Mount Pleasant camera.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we should be
so this is going to be a very uniquely drawn warning. And so the line is just now coming into Mount Pleasant, and things are shaking quite a bit, okay? So it's going to kind of wibble wobble our camera, but notice the static flag, and of course this would happen right as we take the camera because these things are kind of falling out now, unfortunately. We'll come back to this, but let's go back to radar and take a look.
Sure thing. So that's for this whole line here. I guess they just kind of broad brushed it. That's fair. All right.
All right. So the National Weather Service in Nashville has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southeast Murray County. The southern half.
And you know what? I think we have that on our live radar.
We do? Okay.
Yeah, there's some winds there. Check that out. That's coming in out of Lawrence County here into Giles County. So that's probably, you could probably bet that that's probably some severe winds there. If not at the ground, very close above the ground. Let's get some pixel queries there. They're 63 miles an hour at 600 feet.
Oh.
So we're getting lower and lower here as we get closer and closer to our live radar. So this is definitely a sign of the times here as we get this new warning here for portions east.
And keep in mind, a radar beam, if you were to look at it cross-section, is slanted. It's looking up.
Yes.
Always looking up. And unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but they're out toward Alexander Springs, just under where the S was, just to the southwest, or southeast rather, of Alexander Springs, up to Jonestown. So this whole little area where we are seeing these strong winds, that's where the tornado from a few Thursdays ago, the EF0, which was 1 mile per hour off from being an EF1, tracked right up in through this area. So these folks have already dealt with some pretty rough weather over the past few weeks in terms of an actual tornado on the ground. This is not tornadic. This is just a big old wall of wind that is coming through here, but really does peak right in here.
Yeah, let me get some.
And that's, I don't know, I'm interested in this feature right down here. Which
there's
it's
a little
not
bit of a minima there that might be sort of a shear line there that we've been keeping an eye on NextRad as well. So we might have a feature there to keep an eye on there as well. I'll have my eyes on that. But even if nothing else, that surge there. Oops, let me switch there. That's That's pretty notable winds there, especially at this low in the elevation now that we're scanning with our live radar.
All right, so northwest Giles, northeast Lawrence, it's on you right now, but northwest Giles, Big Creek to downtown Campbellsville, back out toward Liberty Hill, points north of Liberty Hill. Hold on, because 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are about to bear down on you here in just a second. I got a flake or something in my eye real quick, but there we go.
70 miles an hour here at 395 feet, so...
And that's going to be...
Probably going to be loud, I'll say that much.
North of Pleasant Valley, that is about to Campbellsville Road, actually. Yeah, right there's Campbellsville
Just north
Road.
of it, yep.
Right here. So in the area of Campbellsville Road, zoom in. Let's see if we can grab...
So that's Factory
This is
Creek
about
Road
at
here.
Mount Horeb, actually. That is Mount Horeb Baptist Church, I think, is going to be right here. And so that would be Mount Horeb Road, I think, if I'm looking at that correct. But nevertheless...
Yeah, we've got this big batch of heavy winds there. I think it's safe to say this whole area here is probably in excess of 60 miles an hour.
So out Jonestown Road to downtown Jonestown, and then all the way down to Campbellsville Road, which is there at the bottom. That is the area where we're seeing at this point some very, very strong wind. 60, 70 mile per hour wind gust at this point, very likely. And that does tend to head up toward Enterprise and back out toward downtown Mount Pleasant. We were just showing the Mount Pleasant camera, and I would say if we went back to it, we would actually have the feed.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Yeah, let's look at it real quick.
Where were we talking about?
Mount Pleasant.
Yeah. Mount Pleasant. Let's see. Yep, there we go.
Well, and look, it's back, and it's already over. So
that's how fast these things are moving.
It has. And what's really interesting as well, where we have seen the whole thing move through Hatton, back west of Hatton, back into Mississippi, the sun's out. And it's blue sky at Memphis, and so that's coming too. So anyway, back to radar, and let's...
Yeah, I want to take a look at that Pulaski area again.
Sure.
Let's actually take a look, in fact, on high top the next because National Weather Service is noting that it actually is kind of bowing out here on the south side of it. Now, we couldn't see that quite
yes,
as well.
I'm seeing some very strong
Yeah, but we want to
winds.
take a look at this as well. Take a look at here. We have a little surge there, in fact. Let's actually get a query in that there, because that's a little surge there crossing Highway 11 there, probably just up into Crescent View. There's 66 miles an hour.
Let's go full screen on this, please.
Yeah, let's take that full screen. That's impressive. That little surge there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, this is my luck. This is my church area right here. That is Pleasant Ridge back out toward Good Spring. This is downtown Good Spring right here. It's not showing on the map, but downtown Good Spring at Fall River Road. Here's Fall River Road. The Dollar General is right here. That is exactly where that wind gust is. If you were in that area, I don't like how that looks at all. If you were in that area back to the south of Pulaski, north of Aspen Hill to Crescent View, back out to Abernathy Field, Ammotttown is down the range from that, I would definitely be heading toward my safe place. This is one of those quick instances. Again, one of those quick little instances where we're looking for signs and you've got to be ready to drop and go at a moment's notice. How does that look on local?
It definitely looks like a surge there. I think we can actually see that there.
Okay.
Let's discern that there. Yeah, there's that surge. And what you were saying there about the possibility of maybe some shear there, that is possible. You can see the minima of velocity here on the north side of the highway, just north of the Cobb subdivision there. So you can definitely see that surge, though. You can see that shape there as it plummets down southeast there. So it looks like we have this pretty good. We're looking 750 feet, so you know what? I think we will get some good accurate. So
we're looking right into that. Right here's the Highway 64 bypass. You have Bethel Road, of course, that takes you out toward Abernathy Field Airport. The Cobb subdivision, downtown Good Spring, Anthony Hill, just to the south there. This is the area that you're watching, that we're watching very closely.
Looks like it's getting a little broader in this sense, but I think...
and then that's going to be into the southwest part of Pulaski.
Yep.
So actually, do we have the Fort Hill?
I can pull it up right here on Lynx 1.
Okay. So, Dave, if you would, be ready to switch over.
It is ready on Lynx 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm not sure if the trees aren't moving.
So I guess what happens is...
Let me check UT Southern.
It's so powerful, the wind is so powerful, and some of these are connected via wireless links too, that it just kind of overloads the system when we have stuff like this to
take us to WSV3 source 3. This is storm track Doppler.
Yeah, it looks
and
like,
we do have a broad rotation here on the north side of Pulaski.
Yeah, just looks like that was associated with that surge you were paying attention to there. Yep.
Up here?
No, a little, go down just above Pulaski by the interchange. Right there. Yep.
right there.
Yeah, you can see that's a little noticeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here, that is downtown Pulaski, literally. That is Highway 31 and 31A, the intersection, and like everything, that's going to be heading out 31A.
So it's near Powell Chapel there. Yeah.
So, and again, we're looking real time. This is live Doppler radar, and so Fred, I think, is going to do a track on this.
Yeah, for that feature there.
And
So
we are getting inundated now by pictures. We have trees down on Valley Road just before Gang Road, more utilities down. The Sumac community in just a few minutes at 11:10. Brick Church at 11:14. The Archer community at 11:24. Petersburg, 11:30. The Belfast community coming up at 11:31. Keep in mind, we don't have any indication a tornado is on the ground, and we have said, and I'll repeat it again today, this is that classic, we're looking for those quick little spinners, and when we see these indications, we want to hop on with it. What do y'all make of this feature here out to the east of Rose Hill?
I think that's noise there,
Okay.
just to the east there. Yeah, I think that's noise at the moment. But I'll keep an eye on that here. I've got on links to our live radar as well, so we got multiple eyes on it. But I think the main feature right now that we want to keep an eye on is that one that's just now crossed 31 by the interchange north of Pulaski there. I think that's still the feature of interest at the moment.
Which is going to be...
Right there, yeah.
Yeah,
and you can definitely see that through there as well. Check that
there.
out.
Yeah. That is northeast of downtown Pulaski, running right along Highway 31A. I mean, there, yeah, that's it.
That's definitely noticeable.
So...
Could we zoom in on that a little bit? Yeah, right through there. On the, all right, yeah.
Is Nashville saying anything in chat regarding that feature?
Not that I see, but I did mention it. I did make mention of it to him.
All right, so that's what we're watching. As a course of least regret, I can never say that plainly when I need to. As a course of least regret, in northeast Giles, from downtown Pulaski out 31A to Brick Church, out to the interstate, and that's going to bring you into Cornersville. This is your heads up. We have a suspicious feature on the radar. I want you to head to your safe place that is inside the lowest level of your home, as far away from windows and doors as possible. Don't like how this looks. And by the way, if you're looking at this data and you're saying, man, that looks weird, you know, what are you looking at? We're looking at velocities. This says the radar interpreting the speed and direction that the wind is blowing rain droplets and things in the atmosphere around. And this is how we look for, obviously, wind speeds, wind direction, if anything is rotating. And so this is not the pretty reflectivity picture that you're accustomed to seeing. This is more of the scientific side, but this is how we look for things to let you know when you need to be in your safe place, such as right now. Fred has drawn the arrows of rotation that we're looking at just right to the west, right to the left of the alternate 31 marker. Again, this is Highway 31A, heading out toward Brick Church, and then you're going to get out right at the interstate at the exit there where the Tennessean used to be, burned down a couple of years ago, or last year, I think. But still, very populated area. A lot of people live out toward the interstate in this part of Giles County. A lot of farmland too, but still that is a fairly densely populated area of Giles County for sure. So anybody in this area of northwest or northeast Giles, down southwest of downtown Cornersville into Giles County to Brick Church, out toward the interstate, which is technically Cornersville too, be in your safe place. Head there right now, and let's wait this thing out. We are still seeing that feature running parallel to the 31A. Fredo, if we can, let's zoom in and get a few few road features here.
I can say that it's trending weaker, but it is still there.
Yeah.
It is still there, absolutely. So,
but it is trending less intense.
Yes.
I want to make that clear.
Pigeon Roost Road, there's Haywood Creek Road, that is Cedar Creek Road, and this is Buford Station Road. And then, of course, Highway 31A is the well-defined feature right through here. And all of this area is where you need to be watching very carefully. South of Olivet, south of Linville, but this wind feature is riding straight down 31A. This is also a very hilly part of the area. You go up and down like a roller coaster at the fair on Highway 31A out through here in most spots. And so please be careful. This is a very, very traveled roadway. If we are on radio, I'm not sure if we are, I've not been told, but if you are listening to us and you're in a vehicle, there's a lot of places to stop. This is also an avenue for a lot of commercial traffic as well. And I would like for you to just go ahead and find your safe place and not be in a vehicle and be in a nice protected place.
I just want to mention down south on the other side of the state line down in Alabama, talking about that warning in Lawrence County, Alabama, headed into Limestone County, Alabama, and Morgan County, Alabama. The threat now is considerable, winds in excess of 70 miles an hour, and it looks like we're starting to see that shear line there sort of on this portion of the line. They're moving into Morgan County. I have it on links too. And indeed, Fred, yeah, you're looking at it too there. But that's looking more intense here too. Lightning's picking up there as well. Updraft starting to strengthen there, and Weather Service now calling this a considerable severe thunderstorm warning here.
All right, so we have now elevated in stature to considerable thunderstorm warning for Morgan County. This thing is running the distance of Morgan County, so be it if you were in Limestone from Athens all the way down, you're going to see this thing drive right through the heart of technically what is the most populated city in our coverage area, though we do have Columbia and Florence, or the Shoals metro area, that are extremely populated. Decatur is actually the biggest city in which we cover. So Decatur at 11:11, Athens coming up at 11:12, which is just almost right now. Flint City at 11:13, Hartselle and Mooresville at 11:17. Priceville, Alabama, expect this wall of wind and water to be on you at 11:18, 11:21 for Falkville, Summerville at 11:24, Madison, Alabama at 11:25, Triana and Eva 11:27 to 11:31, same for Lintown. Rocket City, downtown Huntsville at 11:35 and 11:38 for Meridianville and Morgan City, should this line continue to be of the considerable nature as it continues to march east and nearing the I-65 corridor. This is where we stand as of right now. You are watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel coming up on 11:10 a.m. We're continuing to track pretty powerful storms across the area in a line, followed by non-thunderstorm but powerful winds that have a history of both property damage and injury to people this morning in northeast Mississippi. Again, nothing is jumping off the screen in terms of a tornado warning. We are looking for those quick spinning tornadoes that could develop. We're using our live radar for that with what range we have on it, and then we rely on the NEXRADs. Elsewhere, we're looking at the high top NEXRAD for this particular data set that's coming in that's running I-65. If you are watching us on your phone, you've got us into your vehicle. If you are listening to us on radio and you are traveling in a vehicle, especially on I-65, pull over. If you can find an exit, wait it out. We've got reports of the strong winds actually flipping vehicles over. It was a tractor trailer back in Mississippi earlier this morning that rolled over because of the winds. So not that it's going to get any better for you as we go through the afternoon. The water and the storm winds will actually subside here in a minute, and then you'll just have to deal with the non-storm winds for the duration of the afternoon until probably about 5 or 6 tonight. So this is where we stand as of now. The feature in Giles County, let's take a peek at it real quick. And then, Fred, if you want to get back up here and look at Alabama a little bit more, you're more than welcome to. Looking at reflectivity and velocity.
Looking a little more noisy now.
Yeah, I don't... Nothing's jumping off the screen.
It previously would have been the area that's now north of Brick Church, moving in the southwestern areas of Marshall County, approaching Cornersville.
Yeah.
But it's falling apart at their own velocity.
Yeah,
now.
I'm not, and I kind of had that feeling with that, even looking at reflectivity. So if you want to switch out, and Dave, if you want to take us back to Lynx 2 for the next red shot, we'll go ahead and we will take that out.
Yeah, and let's go up to Marshall and eastern Giles counties before we shift back into Alabama. Stronger storms, give it about another 15 minutes or so, and these are going to be shifting out of Giles County, Tennessee here. Elkton up through Frank Ewing, eastward for about the next 15 minutes, Ardmore as well. Some of the heavier weather now coming through the southern area of Marshall County, Tennessee, Farmington to Lewisburg to Cornersville. That will be moving eastward through the next 30 minutes as well. That extends up through the Colioca area. Will pan up to southern areas of Murray County, Tennessee, up through the east side of Columbia. That's crossing I-65 over the next few minutes. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning that includes southern and southeastern areas of Murray County, central and southern Marshall counties in Tennessee, and then the eastern part of Giles County, Tennessee. Severe thunderstorm warning that does remain in effect. Let's see.
Hey, Fred, Kelly's got on Lynx 1.
Okay.
The storm relative and a really big uptick in lightning.
Yeah, I was watching that too there in Morgan County.
Yeah.
So those counties in southern Tennessee, severe thunderstorm warning. We'll just say the threat for the next 30 minutes. We're going to shift back down to North Alabama now that we covered the Tennessee situation. And we were just dealing with the north side of Decatur last night. My nights and days are mixed up this week. We've had so many storms come through. But north side of Decatur, now it's the south side here. So on the belt line, this is Alabama Highway 67. It runs from the metro back down toward Priceville and Summerville. You have this broad rotation, but you have a big uptick in lightning here. That's going to be lifting northeastward through Priceville and Cave Springs up into the southeast corner of Limestone County, Alabama, from Mooresville, New Hope, up to the Huntsville International Airport. Not a tornado warning here, but we're going to have to watch that carefully. Anytime you see a rotation like this on radar and you see a big uptick in lightning, that can often be a sign of trouble, and we'll have to watch that very carefully. Getting multiple reports of trees and power lines down back in northwest Alabama. There's no sense in trying to pinpoint communities and individual locations in the communities because the reports are widespread, and we're going to continue to see that kind of history. You see the curl and the reflectivity pattern here between Decatur and Basham. That is your mid-level rotation with the thunderstorm cluster here. It's broad right now, so not necessarily prompting a tornado warning. However, we'll have to carefully watch to see if that's going to try to tighten up here over the next few minutes. If it does, it's going to be lifting up into this far northern part of Morgan County, Priceville northward, up through the Mooresville area, over through New Hope, Belmina, the Greenbrier area, Huntsville International Airport over the next 15 to 20 minutes. We'll pan up into Limestone County and check out those storms there. They're not quite as strong once you go north of Orville, Pryorfield, and Tanner up through Athens. They're still intense, maybe 40, 50, 60 mile per hour winds. They don't look as intense on radar, but we don't want to take that for granted. Some of the heaviest weather up through Piney Chapel, Thatch to Ardmore, up through Elkmont and Legtown over the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. That's going to be shifting across the rest of Limestone County, Alabama, solidly over into Madison County, Alabama, now to the viewing area for this segment of the line of thunderstorms. So Limestone County, Alabama, about another 20 minutes or so. And these storms will mainly be out of your area. We'll go ahead and expand the radar view here a little bit and look at everything. Lawrence County, Alabama, the leading edge of that line of thunderstorms kind of shifting out now. So Lawrence County, Alabama, your threat from the line of thunderstorms now coming to an end over the next 10 minutes. Give it about another 20 minutes in Limestone County, Alabama, Giles and Marshall counties in Tennessee, as well as Murray County in Tennessee. But about another 30 to 45 minutes, I think, here for Morgan County, Alabama. And we'll continue to watch that storm on the south side of Decatur, but no signs of a tornado at this time. What you guys got for me?
Real quick, I just wanted to show, and Kelly, if you want to mention the power outage report across the area because these numbers are getting staggered real quick.
Yeah, so I have the power outages pulled up here on Lynx 1 so you can see them right here. Right now it's showing 100 in Giles County, but like Ben mentioned, getting very significant, up to close to 4,000 without power. Now that was most likely due to that feature we just were showing you here a few minutes ago, that very strong wind that just came from the south side of Pulaski that blew to the northeast. So about 4,000 folks without power in Giles County. It takes a couple minutes to get it uploaded and updated into our system. Right now, we haven't received any new power outages in Lawrence County, Tennessee. However, we haven't seen those numbers rebound. So if you lost power, you're still without power, just shy of 2,000 without power in Lawrence County, Tennessee, a little over 1,000 in Lauderdale County, Alabama, and over 1,500 in Franklin County, Alabama, and over 2,000 in Tishomingo County still without power in Mississippi. So these storms are causing several widespread power outages like we feared, with these very strong winds gusting between 50 to potentially 70 miles an hour as they're blowing through. So very, very windy situation.
And two,
I was just going to say,
we need to urgently take back radar here. We have a report in Pryor Field of a 77 mile per hour wind.
That's what I was just
With
about
it
to
that
say.
high, we're going to have to kind of treat this like a tornado warning for the next few minutes.
That's exactly
because
what I was
that's
about to say.
capable of structural damage to homes if it's gusting that high.
So that's coming right through here.
Yeah, that's that south side of Limestone County, Orville, Pryor Field. That was just a few minutes ago. You see the high wind that's near just south of the Buc-ee's, that really bright white right there near Belmeda. If you're in these areas, it's only severe thunderstorm warning, but the winds are high enough. I need you to go through your tornado safety plan here. Let's go ahead and get tighter. On the southeast part of Limestone County.
That'll
It's
be no
near and north.
College.
It's near and north of 565 near the Greenbrier area, Belmont, Mooresville, Salem corner. And over here toward the Huntsville International Airport, again, we don't have a tornado warning in place, but we've had a confirmation of a 77 mile per hour wind gust, and you're getting up into the level of wind where you can have structural damage to homes, which means we have to treat this like a tornado warning for the next few minutes until we can shift this signature out of the viewing area. So need you to go through your tornado safety plan if you haven't already because of the wind. That's a bathroom, hall closet, that type situation on the lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Again, I'm not calling a tornado. I'm calling straight line winds that's strong enough to do tornado damage, and there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. That has been a confirmed report back here in your Pryor Field at the airport from National Weather Service equipment. You have to treat this like a tornado situation. The wind is strong enough. So small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows, in the south part of Limestone County, and then that's going to be shifting within the next 10 to 15 minutes over into the western part of Madison County. Madison County, you're not in the viewing area, but an urgent heads up for the International Airport, Redstone Arsenal, Madison, all the way over through Research Park to downtown Huntsville. Even though it's not a tornado situation, it's not a tornado warning, might not be a bad idea at all to go through your tornado safety plans until we can get this line through. We'll go back to reflectivity, look at the structure here. And it may be an embedded broad rotation. So tell you what, let's go to storm relative velocity and make any rotation easier to see.
And it looks like it was that north side of that rotation we were keeping an eye on in Morgan County. Remember that just a few minutes ago? It looks like that was kind of on the north side of that. So that might be the surge there.
Hey, Fred, we are getting a new severe thunderstorm warning for Morgan, Marshall, and Moore. This is going to be a destructive tag.
Okay, so if you're watching us in southeast Limestone, north central and central eastern Morgan County, in the Madison County, a new severe thunderstorm warning is issued. But like Ben said, it's going to have this destructive tag. That's going to trigger your wireless emergency alerts because the wind is so high. You need to treat this like a tornado warning. For these higher end severe thunderstorm warnings like this, they put that destructive tag on there. And that means that you need to treat that like a tornado warning because the winds are so high. That is going to go until 12:15. That's for central and eastern areas of Morgan County, Alabama, southeastern areas of Limestone County, Alabama, and over through portions of from Madison, County as well. Madison County not in the viewing area. Also goes into Marshall County, Alabama, which is not in the viewing area. But that's an urgent call to action ahead of this line. Multiple reports of tornado-like straight line winds. So what we mean by that, it's not rotating. It's not necessarily a tornado, but the damaging straight line winds are so strong that you can have structural damage and tree and power line damage that's the same equivalency of a low-end tornado. That means it's a threat to life and property. This is the type of severe thunderstorm warning where you don't just blow it off. You have to be inside, away from windows, on the lowest floor, near the center, bathroom, hallway, closet. Think of this like a tornado warning, even if that's not exactly officially what it is, because it doesn't have to be a tornado. It doesn't have to be rotating to cause damage that can be a threat to your life and property. So from French Mill, Capshaw, East Limestone, through Bellamina, through Morrisville, through New Hope, through Salem Corner, we're going to expand the call to action here all the way down through a large part of Morgan County, Priceville, Hartselle, Massey, Andrews Chapel, eastward, Falkville, Somerville, Gum Spring, Odin Ridge, Eva, Bluff City, Valormoso Springs, the Toluca area, the Triana area there on the Tennessee River, Lacey Spring, Morgan City, Apple Grove, and Hulako. All these areas in Limestone County, Morgan County, and then over in the Madison Marshall. I know it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's not just a severe thunderstorm warning. This is as high of an urgent severe thunderstorm warning as you can get. This is a serious, potentially life-threatening situation because you can get tornado-like damage from these straight line winds. We don't see this type of severe thunderstorm warning often. I think since they started issuing these a couple of years ago, this is only the second one we've had in our viewing area. So that shows you how infrequent they happen. And they do this when they're talking about straight line winds of 80 miles per hour or greater. That's why they put the destructive tag on this warning. And once you get winds like that, it's not just a severe thunderstorm warning anymore. That's the type of warning you have to take like a tornado warning here. So again, even though you just see flashing yellow on the map instead of flashing red, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and go through the tornado safety plan, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows until we can get the storms out of here. But keep in mind, the damaging wind threat for the day is not over when the storms are. We have these gradient winds coming through during the afternoon, and wind gusts through the afternoon could be 50, 60 miles per hour at times as well. Not a constant all afternoon, but at times 50 to 60 miles per hour. And we've seen that already, even away from thunderstorms. So let's hit that DMA view and hit an overall reset and talk about who's still under the gun and where the storms have shifted out of now. Murray County, Tennessee, Giles County, Tennessee, storms are shifting or have shifted out. I can say the same thing within the next 10 minutes for Marshall County, Tennessee as well. Back to the west, Lewis County, Lawrence County, Wayne County, Hardin County, the Shoals, Lauderdale County, Colbert County, Franklin County, Lawrence County, Alabama. Storms are over for the day. Gradient winds are not, but storms are over for the day. Same thing for Tishomingo County. It's here for this next 30 minutes or so as we work the line through that far southeastern part of Limestone County over the next 10 minutes and through the rest of Morgan County over the next 30 minutes or so, that you're going to have to take these warnings urgently. This is a serious, potentially life-threatening situation. You don't hear us talk about severe thunderstorm warnings that often, but we just have to call it like we see it. We have confirmed reports of a 77 mile per hour wind gust. We have history of straight line wind damage, including the structures earlier in the day. So you have to treat this with great urgency, just like you would a tornado warning. So we're going to focus the radar back on southeastern areas of Limestone County through central East Morgan County. If you guys have anything you need to talk about, stop me, but we'll continue here otherwise. From Salem Corner down through Priceville, through Hartselle, to Andrews Chapel here, that's the area of concern where the storms are right now. Out ahead of that, and I think I just lost my screen for NWS chat, so you guys flag me if you see anything. All right. I've had my laptop unplugged, and then it went down, so we won't even worry about that. We have 30 more minutes to get the storms through. But through the rest of Morgan County here, Again, I need you in shelter. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. I know these are tornado precautions we're calling out, and it's not a tornado warning. I know that may be confusing to you. You're not hearing sirens, that type of thing. It doesn't have to be a tornado. These are intense straight line winds that can do tornado-like damage, and that's going to come across the remainder of Morgan County, Alabama. It's starting to shift out of Limestone County now. The storms are still there, but you always look on the leading edge of the line of thunderstorms for those intense, damaging straight line winds. And the leading edge of the line now shifting out of Limestone into Madison County. So give me 5 more minutes for Thank you. So give me 5 more minutes for Limestone, and then we'll have this intense damaging wind threat over into Madison. But for Morgan, we have a little bit longer here. And let me pop the passcode in. I'm not going to tell you what it is because we're trying to have serious coverage and you'll laugh.
I would like to note, just with that line moving through Morgan County right now, it looks like this is just on the Lawrence County, Alabama side, but this is the storm currently moving through Morgan County. There are reports of a tree falling on an RV at Mallard Creek. That is just south of the Tennessee River in the far northeastern portion of Lawrence County, Alabama.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
And yeah, Fred, we also now have reports of a house that has collapsed in Giles County with entrapment.
Okay, so listen, guys, we haven't had tornado warnings with either of these situations, but we're having serious reports of damage, including entrapments in part of the area. You have to take these storms seriously. I know we don't have flashing red tornado warning polygons on this map, but this is an urgent call to action. It's shifting out of Limestone County now. The heavy rain's still there for about another 10 minutes. The higher winds with the line of thunderstorms shifting out. It's mainly Morgan County we're focusing on now for this intense damaging wind situation. But with these thunderstorms and the thunderstorms up in southern Tennessee, we're getting serious reports of damage. We're getting reports of entrapment up in Giles County, Tennessee. This is a serious situation. I cannot urge that enough. Not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to let you know the reality of the situation so that you can respond accordingly. This is an urgent call to action for you to seek shelter indoors on the lowest floor away from windows here in this eastern 3/4 of Morgan County. You see this big wind shift line, that's the gust front. That's where your straight line winds are going to be. That stretches from near Triana and Bluff City down through the Somerville area. It's just come through Priceville, but the winds are still probably high. It's moving through Hartselle now, moving through the Massey area down through Andrew Chapel and Battleground. That sits there on the Coleman and the Morgan County line. You know, you have 157, you go over that big hill around the curve before you go down. That's the area right there. That's coming to the east. It's coming across I-65 between Hartselle and Falkville right now. It's going to be crossing US 31 between Priceville and Falkville over the next few minutes. Then it's going to be riding out Alabama Highway 36, the Gum Spring area, Somerville on Alabama 67. Alabama 67 runs from the Decatur metro area, Priceville, runs down through Hulaco into Coleman County and meets up with 278 and 231 down there. The Apple Grove area, Odin Ridge, Eva, Hulaco, Valormoso Springs, Morgan City, Lacey Springs, intense, damaging straight line winds equivalent to that of a lower spectrum type tornado. This is not some violent something that's going to rip your home off the foundation, but especially if you're in a mobile home, this is a life-threatening situation for trees and power lines coming down. This is the type of wind that can do structural damage to mobile homes, significant structural damage. This is the type of wind that could do structural damage to roofs and things of site-built homes. So it's a little more serious than most of your severe thunderstorm warnings that you see. So that's why we're taking this urgent tone and we're asking you to urgently seek shelter here in the eastern part of Morgan County, Alabama, until we get these storms to move through here over the next likely 20 minutes or so as the line continues to move east at about, I would say, still probably 45 to 55 miles an hour.
Looks like we have a gust at the Huntsville International Airport, which is within this, so it's about what you can expect for this line. A gust to 67 miles an hour there. So it's still definitely well above the qualification for severe winds. So we're definitely still seeing chance for damaging winds all throughout this line.
Yep, and here's a brand new report. This must be coming out of Morgan County as well. EMA reporting a tree has fallen on a moving car on Alabama Highway 67 south near the intricate road intersection. Fortunately, no injuries, but that's the danger here.
So that'd be right about there.
Tree, yeah, near the Priceville area, trees falling, power lines falling because of this intense wind that could be gusting as high as 80 miles per hour at times, and that's going to be coming across the rest of Morgan County here over the next 20 to 30 minutes. That's why we're asking you seriously to treat this like a tornado warning. I know it's a severe thunderstorm warning on the map. We're not trying to say a tornado warning is a tornado was there. We don't have any indication a tornado was there, but it does not have to be a tornado to be a direct threat to your life and a direct threat to your property. That's why you have to go through your safety plans until we can get these intense straight line winds out of here. And I think about another 20 to 30 minutes and we'll do that. Now, I'm not saying all clear for the day because like we've been talking about till we've been blue in the face today, the wind is not over just when the thunderstorms are. We're still going to have these pressure gradient winds that could be as high as 50 to 60 miles an hour at times through the rest of the afternoon. And that can knock down trees and power lines, cause power outages, cause the same situation as well. This is a little more urgent because we've had winds higher than that, up near 75, 80 miles an hour, and that can do structural damage. And we have gotten reports of trees falling on cars. We've gotten reports of entrapments up in Giles County, Tennessee. So that just stresses the urgency of the situation. What you got, Ben?
Giles EMA is clarifying that what happened, we had a tree that fell on a house. That was the collapse part.
Okay.
And then they also are indicating that they've had at least one report of a total roof loss at a home. I don't have exact locations because they're busy, and I'm not going to worry them about that. But we do have, at least some what I rule as significant structural damage in parts of Giles County. I would say that we have a pretty good idea of where that probably was in either the south or central to northeast part. But and then Kelly's looking at power outages across the area, and there's a lot of places in the dark in our viewing area at this time.
Yep.
And I want to add there, this is a report in Madison County, but it can practically be applied to all of this gust line here. A trained spotter, Matt Matheson, I know him, he measured a wind speed of 72 miles an hour sustained for over 30 seconds. So that shows it's more than just gusts here in this line. That was in Madison County, but that can be applied throughout this line of thunderstorms here moving from Madison County south across the river down through Morgan County, probably south down to Coleman. Of course, we don't cover Coleman, but you can pretty much think that's probably going on more than one spot across this line. So this is definitely one of those more widespread situations.
All right, getting reports from our Drew Richards of the team. He's working his Shoals office down in Northwest Alabama and working reports and feeding those to us while he's doing partner coverage with our partner Radar Omega today. He's hearing of constant calls on the scanner of trees all over the roads down there, so many that he can't keep up with them as they come in Northwest Alabama. For example, Highway 157, main travel in Cloverdale. That's from Florence up through Cypress in Tennessee, where it becomes 227 that goes back around into Wayne and Lawrence counties. So 157 in Cloverdale, complete road blockage. And then it sounds like he is losing shingles on his roof as well. And just 5 minutes ago, now keep in mind how far east the storms are. Just 5 minutes ago, he had a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust there on the north side of downtown Florence near Cox Creek Parkway. So that's what we've been saying. Even well behind the line of thunderstorms, you're still getting these 50, 60, 65-mile-per-hour winds that can do roof damage, tree damage, power line damage, knock down power lines that cause power outages. That's happening even well behind the line of thunderstorms. But here with this line of thunderstorms moving through Morgan County, intense winds, possibly 70, 80 miles an hour. And earlier in Pryor Field in southern Limestone County, the airport there, we had a confirmation of a 77-mile-per-hour wind gust. We're going to focus here on the eastern part of Morgan County, Alabama, look at some of the communities. And again, we're still asking you for a course of least regret. Treat this like a tornado warning, even though there's not a tornado here. We're not concerned about a tornado at this moment. The straight line wind is intense enough to do lower end type tornado damage, which is a threat to life and property. That leading edge, runs from the Toluca area east of Bluff City, coming through Somerville now, through the Gum Spring area. It's coming through Falkville. That's moving eastward quickly through the Cold Spring area, Odin Ridge, Eva, Huleco, Apple Grove, West Point, the West Point that's in the eastern side of Morgan County, Alabama, Morgan City, Vallehermoso Springs. That's on Highway 36 before you get up to Lacey Spring here on 231, and then Lacey Spring itself, all the way up to the Madison County line on the Tennessee River near Ditto Landing. I need you in your shelters just like you would from a tornado warning until this intense wall of wind passes you by and you can get the thunderstorms on through here. And I'm thinking that's probably another 20 to 30 minutes. I'll look at the... What's the expiration time on this polygon here, Brian, if you don't mind,
This one
please?
here is till 12:15.
All right, so that's going to run until 12:15. Severe thunderstorm warning. And again, like we've been talking about, it's not a normal severe thunderstorm warning. It has this destructive tag for 80+ mile per hour straight line winds. And because it has that tag that says it's destructive, that's been triggering the wireless emergency alerts in this polygon area, just like it would for a tornado warning. Now, back up in the Limestone County, the line has shifted out of Limestone County, and for the thunderstorms, Limestone County, you're done for the day. However, these gusty winds well behind the line, that there's still hours of that off and on through the rest of the day until we get to sunset or a little after, and we can lessen the mixing that happens in the atmosphere, but back in the drier air, that settles down at sunset, and that's when the winds will gradually settle down. What you guys got over there?
I have a report. This is a traffic alert for Morgan County, and it's potentially a dangerous situation because we have down power lines on a pretty well-traveled, high-traveled highway, on Highway 31. This is south of the main part of downtown. It's south of Cedar Lake Road, if you're familiar with the area of Decatur. Again, down power lines on Highway 31. Both of the northbound lanes are shut down, and there is just one southbound lane open. Again, this is the storm that just moved through that we are watching with the destructive severe thunderstorm warning. The winds are not over, though. Just because the rain is over does not mean the winds are over, just like we've been saying this whole morning. And
to follow up what Kelly's talking about, I've been in contact with the Giles EMA regarding the reports, and actually I have pictures I'm going to share out in a few minutes. They have numerous lines down, poles that have been snapped in half, and I have visual confirmation of this. We have multiple structures with roof damage, primarily Pulaski East. Looks like it's either a commercial business or a storage facility, and it is just chopped all to pieces. And again, we'll get these out on our platforms here in a few minutes. And then also, Giles County is reporting via Giles Skywarn that a spotter registered what he believed was an 89 mile per hour gust.
Where'd you say that was?
Giles.
I'd believe it with that signature we saw earlier. That's remarkable.
We're also getting reports that I believe this is Morgan County 4300 without power right
Yes,
now.
that is Morgan County.
Morgan County 4300 without power.
And I saw a report when we first started getting the more urgency here in Morgan County. Some of our friends over in our private Discord chat, we talk with meteorologists from our vendor Baron here in the National Weather Service and such. At least 34,000 people in the state of Alabama without power, and the storms are only affecting the northern half of the state. And that also doesn't include the people in Tennessee or Mississippi that are without power. So like we've been talking about, this is a widespread damaging wind situation. Now, this is out of Limestone County, out of Lawrence County, Alabama, out of Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties in Alabama. It's out of all of our Tennessee counties. So Marshall, Murray, Lewis, Giles, Lawrence, Wayne, Hardin. The thunderstorms are out now. I want to make this very clear. The wind threat for the day is not over. Listen to the words I'm saying. Thunderstorms are out. The wind threat is not. The pressure gradient wind was always even more of a concern than these thunderstorm winds and the spin-up tornadoes were, and the pressure gradient winds will continue off and on through the afternoon, and they could be 50, 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour in spots, and that does tree and power line damage as well. right now, the only county in the viewing area we're still dealing with the severe thunderstorms is this eastern half of Morgan County, Alabama. It's east of I-65 now. In about another 15 minutes, that's going to be shifting out of Morgan County and out of the viewing area. But until then, intense damaging straight line winds, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour are possible, and that not just does tree and power line damage, that can do structural damage as well. And we're seeing widespread, significant wind damage with this particular part of the line of thunderstorms. So that really gives an urgency to the severe thunderstorm warning. But you see the storm stretching from near Shelbyville, Tennessee, down through Fayetteville, down through the Huntsville metro area. Bo Echo coming through Huntsville right now. We've had 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gust reports in Huntsville proper, down through the east side of Hartselle near Somerville, down through the Coleman area. Out of all of that, our only viewing area county is Morgan County. So we're going to focus back in on eastern Morgan County, Alabama here on live Viper radar. And again, we're not talking about a tornado signature, but like we've talked about several times, it doesn't have to be a tornado to be life-threatening. But the most intense part of this is the leading edge. That's where the strongest winds are going to be. That's coming through Toluca and Vallehermoso Springs now, down through Odin Ridge and Eva over the next few minutes. Over the next 10 minutes or so, that's moving through 10 minutes or less. I want to stress that. The or less part of that, that's coming through Lacey Spring, that's coming through Morgan City, that's coming through Apple Grove, and that's coming through Huleco and the remainder of Morgan County, Alabama, where we still have the severe thunderstorm warning, technically for another 31 minutes until 12:15, and then the threat should be shifting out, if not a little before then. They extend it to 12:15 because the same polygon also comes into Madison and Marshall counties over here in northeast Alabama. Madison, Marshall, you know, they're not in their viewing area, but they're part of the warning as well. I think before 12:15 we'll have the storms out of Morgan County. But again, just because the storms move out, this wind damage threat for the rest of the day does not end at that point. But west of the line, we switch from this damaging wind and tornado threat to more of this pressure gradient wind that's off and on steady through the rest of the afternoon. Guys, have you gotten any more reports or anything you need to touch on at the moment?
I'm taking a look at conditions observed by UAH. Of course, they have sensors out as a part of a scientific project going on, and they measured, not quite sure where this is. I think this was either in Tanner or at their campus, but either way, it was with that line, 56 miles an hour just a few minutes ago. And wind is still sustained behind that with those winds behind it that we're talking about there at 30 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 45, and they're already behind that line. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Otherwise, I'm just seeing tons of reports coming in from Madison County when it comes to tornado, or not tornado damage, but tornado-like damage with these trees, with these power lines all through Limestone, all through Morgan County. I mean, the chat that I'm sure you see it there too, Fred, is just inundated with reports like that.
Yeah, and this is only the start because a lot of these reports get delayed because everything's so hectic. You get the calls in when you're first responder out in the field, and then they have to go out and see what's going on. And you get inundated with calls from all over the county, and things are chaotic. So it's going to be a while. Reports are going to trickle in steadily from the viewing area. I'll be honest, we've been doing this here in this building overall since our first day on air was Easter of 2020. This is the most intense wind damage event that I've worked in the almost 3 years that we've been on air here at Tennessee Valley Weather. It's like we've warned about, this is a pretty high impact situation, and it's not over when the line of thunderstorms moves through. Unlike most, excuse me, you got done with the frog unlike the other day, we got that handled. Unlike most situations where the line of thunderstorm moves through and then you're fine, we have these pressure gradient winds, and that happens just from the flow of wind from high pressure toward low pressure. The stronger the difference is between the high pressure and the low pressure over a tighter area, the stronger the wind is. And because of their pressure gradient being so tight over the area, we have these intense just environmental winds across the area. That's going to continue through the afternoon. So we can get this line of thunderstorms out of the viewing area here probably in about another, I would say, 10, maybe 15 minutes or so. It's in the far eastern part of Morgan County, Alabama now. But then the wind damage threat's not over. And like Ben explained earlier, then we have to switch how we do coverage, because we can track thunderstorm on radar all day long, and we can pinpoint either a spot where there's rotation, or we can draw a line and tell you, okay, this is a line of wind damage and it's moving eastward. When it's clear air and you're seeing the wind like that, you have nothing to track. And it's not possible to stay here and tell you, okay, the wind's gusting here, here, here. So we're going to have to shift the way we do our coverage the rest of the afternoon. Once we get the storms out, it's going to be more of a, we're letting you know the reports on social media as things come in. Also at noon today, Kelli Rosson is going to have her midday overall forecast for the next 7 days on social media and the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel. So if you're done with the storms for the day, you want to know what the rest of the day is going to be like, the weekend's going to be like the next 7 days, Kelly's going to have that information at noon on the Facebook page, as well as on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel. But we're going to stay here just a little bit longer until we get these storms out of Morgan County. I want to give equal coverage to everybody, because you know our policy here, we don't treat populated areas versus rural areas any differently. Each individual life and entire viewing area is equally important. And the way we do our coverage here is we do emergency room triage, like Ben explained at the beginning of this. We pick the most intense storms and we work our way down the list toward the less intense storms. But the only area of danger we have in the viewing area as far as thunderstorms is this eastern part of Morgan County, probably for about the next 10 minutes. And then that's going to shift solidly over into Marshall and southeastern areas in Madison County, and we'll get it on out of here. It's stretching from Eva up to Lacey Springs right now. Let's go ahead and do a track on that portion of the line east at about 50 miles an hour, get some times of arrival for the few more communities we have here, and we'll give some times of arrival upstream for our friends that may watch us in Marshall and southern Madison counties. That's not our viewing area, but we still want to give a heads up. It's moving into Lacey Springs now. Arab, which is out here in Marshall County, that's 1156. Owen Crossroads in the southeast part of Madison County at 1159. Union Grove 1201. New Hope 1207. Gunnersville, and again, a lot of these are outside the viewing area now, but we're giving you the heads up while we're here for the next few minutes. Gunnersville 1210, Woodville 1212, Grant 1217, Scottsboro 1229, Langston 1230, Section 1236, Fife 1238, Rainsville 1243, Sylvania 1247, because these thunderstorms are likely going to continue out of the viewing area across Marshall and Madison counties, across Jackson and DeKalb counties, probably northern Cherokee County, and on over into Georgia. These are not going to go away easy today. The environment's actually getting increasingly unstable. But for our viewing area, for about another 5 to 10 minutes, this eastern part of Morgan County, that's the area of concern, where damaging straight line winds are likely. They could be 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. So we'll clear off the track. And I'm going to check here, see if we have any new reports of damage in the area. And damage reports are going to continue to come in as we head through the afternoon, and we'll continue to relay those to you. At this time, excuse me, frog trying to come back. At this time, other than what we've already talked about, I'm not seeing any new reports of damage. But they're going to continue to come in. It's going to be tree damage, power line damage, damage to roofs, damage to homes. You may hear about trees on cars or power lines on cars, widespread power outages. Kelly and Ben have been talking about the power outage numbers. The power outage numbers are getting increasingly insane over North Alabama and southern Middle Tennessee. And these numbers are going to continue to go up through the afternoon as we continue not to have the thunderstorms alone, but just these pressure gradient winds as well. Kelly, I see you're peeking through the numbers over there. Do you have an update on power outage numbers for us?
Giles County has ticked up a little bit to about 4,700 without power now. Still the same, about 2,000 in Lawrence County, Tennessee. Not much tracked in Wayne County, Tennessee, but I'm sure they've got several power outages there as well. Franklin County, Alabama, looking at 1,800 without power. Like I mentioned, in Morgan County, close to 4,000 without power, and I'm sure that number will continue to go up. Lauderdale looking at about 1,800 without power. Haven't seen any reports from Limestone or Lawrence County Alabama just yet, but I'm sure there are some spotty outages there as well.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to get these power outages through the afternoon. The reason why we had to step away for just a moment, Brian, Ben, and we kind of scattered for a moment, is Brian is working to get some damage pictures that we're going to get on the air here. So if we can take source 4 on the video switcher, please. That's my internet computer. Brian, I'm going to let you scroll through that however you need to. You have your mic on, right?
Yep, we're good.
Talk about what you're seeing.
Yeah, so this is those power lines down the road in Giles County. Actually, I want to show you the first one. This is the historic Giles County Courthouse actually inflicted damage. You can see on the top there. This was associated with that surge we were seeing earlier, so I'm going to go back to this. You can see just that whole row of power lines collapsed down that road there. Scrolling through here more, there's that building Ben was talking about earlier, that sheet metal structure. They're just totally scattered all across the area. You can see that garage door fallen in there. We're getting reports of more damage just like this all across Giles County. There's another telephone pole right across the road. There is no passage on this area. Now, I don't have any information as to where exactly this is right now, but we're still working on that. We're getting a lot of reports into us right now, so we'll work on that over the next few minutes and see what we can do. But I think you're going to expect to see a lot more of situations like this as we start to go over the next 15, 20, 30 minutes.
All right, thank you, Brian. So we'll switch back to live Viper radar, and I'll step back into the screen here. And we're just about to get this thunderstorm wind event out of Morgan County here over the next couple minutes. That's moving east at 50 miles an hour. It's in the process of shifting out of Morgan County now. So what we're going to do, since the threat is ending over the next few minutes for Morgan County, especially the populated areas, Lacey Spring, Apple Grove up to Huleka, be in shelter another 5 minutes or so. But since that's moving out of the county, we're going to go ahead and scale back coverage, get pictures together, get video together if we have them. If you have damaged pictures or damaged video from the stuff today, and don't put yourself in danger to go outside to get pictures or video, but if you can safely get those, send them to our social media, either Twitter or Facebook, and we'll get them out publicly. We're going to go back behind the scenes and compile damage reports, power outage reports, pictures and video of what's happened so far, and we're going to get all that together and start posting that on social media for you. So the thunderstorm threat is ending for the viewing area for the day. However, damaging gradient straight line winds, not from thunderstorms, of 50 to 60 miles an hour continuing into the afternoon. We'll continue to watch the situation very carefully. If there's anything we need to come on this afternoon and talk about, we will. Otherwise, we're going to scale back and start going to a damage coverage mode instead of live storm tracking here. So for Ben Luna, Bryan Wilson, Kelli Rosson, Drew Richards, and Dave Ray, I'm Fred Gossage, live from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Stay with Tennessee Valley Weather. As always, we'll keep you advised.
This is the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.